So it's very difficult. We've never been there before. And we need to sit up now and say, how can we not turn the corner? We are not probably even in the corner. It took us a long time to get Ghanaians to put their monies in banks. Now, you put your money in the bank, they say they folded up the bank. Your money is not there. You buy T-bills, they say we are giving you a haircut. It will take us another maybe 10 years to get confidence back into the banking system for people to put their monies there. It's becoming very difficult.
In April 2002, the president of Cote d'Ivoire took a decision to reduce the number of ministers from 41 to 32. I'm talking about Cote d'Ivoire, our neighbors. Inflation in Cote d'Ivoire is around 3.2 or 3.5%. Of course, we can see marginality because of they use the pegged currency. The pass-through of exchange rate to price development is low compared to Ghana, and therefore their imported inflation and the rest of that, you see marginality. But you see that leadership has, we failed to respond. We failed to respond.
And that's what's continued to this point.
Yes.
You say, based on your assessment, it's going to take, what, 30 years for us to get out of this situation?
You know,
at least 30 years.
Do you know what it means like to render the central bank balance sheet negative like this? We are exposed. As a country, we are exposed.
Direct the Committee of the Chief of Defense Staff to activate the ECOWAS standby force with all its elements immediately. Order the deployment of the ECOWAS standby force to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. Underscore its continued commitment to the restoration of constitutional order through peaceful means.
The resolution that we have heard from ECOWAS today appears unhelpful. It appears they have escalated, the challenges relating to dealing with the Nigerian situation by emphasizing the use of military approach to dealing with the situation. They have gone beyond just generally saying they would resort to military approach to actually asking for the immediate, activation of the ECOWAS standby force, which in my opinion does not help in terms of negotiations and dealing with the military leadership in Niger. And so we need to look at it, walk away from this path of threat and the use of military intervention as a threat to get the military leaders to succumb to the directives of ECOWAS. Otherwise, this is not going to be helpful in terms of the negotiations that they are seeking to have with the military leadership in place.
There's a military doctrine, it's very general, that any army that is launching an offensive operation against somebody who is defending must have a force ratio of 3-to-1. Now, I checked some time back. The Niger army is about 5,000, excluding a small air force. They have the gendarme, you have the police. I think they have some militia. So the army alone is 5,000. Let's say that the Nigerian armed forces, together with the police, all together are 7,500. So ECOWAS must be thinking of upward of 22,000. We don't have that. We only on paper have 6,500. So we need to wait and hear from the member states how many of which type of forces that member states are going to contribute. We need about 3 categories of forces, actually more. We need the combat troops, those who do the fighting, normally drawn from the army with the rifles centered on the infantry. We need combat support, the artillery, the armored, the engineers, the signals, communications, and so on. Then we need the combat support.
It does get better anytime your favorite shop, Melcom, says it's there for you and got you covered with all your daily need items. Continue shopping on products ranging from groceries, stationery, electronics, homeware, kitchenware, furniture, home decor, electrical, and many more at low prices. Terms and conditions apply. Melcom, where Ghana shops.
Musum de brainy, and a manty be, and in my baby, and in my baby. Almost a baby came one. Almost a bar way on your bar or set or bar for.
We're going to scrutinize every bachelor that comes on this show. Your money is our money, my money is my money.
Did you get it?
Yes. I'm here to win the husband material. My mom tells me I'm the best man anyone can have because she personally prepared me for that.
Equally, you're also very neat in the kitchen.
So rare to see a man that can cook.
Food is love. Simple.
Is he hot?
He's hot. If I feel insecure about your female friends and I tell you not to hang out with them anymore, are you going to do it or you're not going to do it?
This marriage will not happen.
Let's discover South Africa with 3FM 92.7 and South African Airways from the 21st to the 28th of October 2023. Let's travel to discover the beautiful sights and sounds of Joburg, tour the most enchanting wineries of Cape Town, and attend the biggest wine event in Africa, WineX, amongst many other incredible experiences. Be a part of this exclusive getaway from the 21st to the 28th of October. Tour package includes visa facilitations, return flights to Accra, round-trip flights to Cape Town and Joburg, hotel accommodation, breakfast and lunch, exclusive tours of the winelands and wine tasting in the Western Cape Province, city tours of Cape Town and Joburg, exclusive access to the Grand WineX events at Sandton Convention Center, guided shopping tours and tourist sites, and B2B networking breakfast sessions. Book your place for the trip of a lifetime. Single occupancy is $2,699. Double occupancy is $2,399. Special rates are available for couples. Please call 0531 100 97 to be a part of the 3FM Getaway. 3FM Getaway is powered by 3FM 92.7 and in partnership with SAA and supported by TV3.
This week on Ghana's Most Beautiful, join the contestants as they embrace the celebrations theme. Be ready to be inspired, moved and captivated by their heartfelt performances, paying tribute to Ghana's vibrant cultural celebrations that define its heart and soul.
Mama phone call. Na dada.
Don't miss this extraordinary celebration live on TV3 this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eviction is looming. Keep your contestant in the competition by dialing *713*13# to vote or download the TV3 reality app to vote. GMB 2023, Ghana's beauty, Africa's pride.
GMB 2023 is sponsored by Gino Tomato Mix, GTP, Techno Common 20 Series, AT, Pepsodent Charcoal and Lemon Infused Formula and Pepsodent Natural Herbal Formula, Geisha Moringa and Geisha Black Soup, Key Soap, Bell Pack Tissues, Sankofa Natural Spices, Vitamilk, Deluxy Acrylic Paint, Nescofa Blood Tonic, Heaven Black Mosquito Spray and Coil, Enapa Foods, Freedom from Casapreco,
Frutelli Calipo,
Duffy's Health and Beauty, Obuasi Bitters, Nubuna Womwankasa, Dragnet, Top Choco, Global Wings Travel and Tour.
Makeup was done by House of Tara.
Hey! What do you do with some cool $2,000? Okay. Dare to Win game show is exactly what you need. It's the only game show where you are already rich before you begin to pay. Every week, 2 lucky people stand the chance of winning money.
All you have to do is go through some quizzes and fun games.
Somebody from Peru is called.
Perusian. Whatever you say, you have to be proud because your family people are watching you.
Somebody from Madagascar is called Malagasy.
Correct! Okay, let's go, let's go.
It's you that will tell me let's go. You are not even winning.
Okay.
Hold the stand and jump to basket.
Amazing.
Just go.
Ayikwe Ama. Be proud. First of all, is Ayikwe supposed to be a man or a woman? Put it on your forehead. Ayikwe. Be a part of this game show right here on TV3 and take home some cash. Come join us on Here to Win game show where you win it all.
Hey, yo, mama. Hey, mama. Hey, yo, mama. Hey, mama.
Here to Win. Here to Win, premiering on Saturday, 12 August at 8 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Kill It Insecticide Spray.
Doing well as a leader. Your subordinates are not doing well. This is it's known to every Ghanaian. Even children know that. This country is running on autopilot at the moment.
The country is running on autopilot.
Absolutely, I'm telling you. I have been. NPP is my party.
Indeed.
And I can say anything. No one can do anything to me. What I'm saying, others cannot say. And what hurts me is that the younger ones coming are not learning from the mistakes of some of the leaders at the moment, but they are copying the mistakes. I can't see how somebody leaves university. Within the first year, he gets into politics. And within less than 2 years, he amasses wealth. I can't understand it. I can't understand it. You follow me? Now, if that continues, so to me, the economic problem we have now, as I said, with Kwame here, I don't have a problem. Well, he will explain that. The economic problems we have here now is as a result of monies being siphoned out of the country by politicians.
Siphoned by politicians.
Absolutely. If they bring the money back, this country will have its peace.
Well, that's Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo there. And we have been showing you excerpts of the Three Business TV3, that's Economic and Leadership Forum that we put together. It's an all-important conversation sometime within the week. A number of things came up, including this very profound statement by a founding member of the NPP, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo there. Now, this is Key Point here on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Welcome back if you're just joining us. The conversation this morning is one that has evolved quite rapidly over time. And I'm talking about the former Sanitation Minister, Cecily Adapa's case and matters arising, and how this particular case is now pointing to a much bigger issue of the weaknesses in the asset declaration regime, which is going to be one that we'll get into eventually. We have eyes on Niger and what's happening there, so we'll get into that as well. And the number of responses that the Bank of Ghana has been giving to both the minority and indeed the number of people who spoke on the Three Business platform, raising fundamental questions about what the Bank of Ghana is saying. But many hold the view that this Cecily Adapa case is becoming quite bizarre, to say the least, and then also creating or raising a lot of governance questions. This week, we saw another amended charge sheet, which I'll give you a summary of shortly. And then also the freezing of Cecily Adapa's accounts by the special prosecutor and the details of some of the accounts also coming out, although the special prosecutor says there was no formal as it were, communication from his office. But sources close to him gave us some details of what is in there. What next? My guest in studio, Nelson Roxon Dapia-Mekpo, is Member of Parliament for the South Dai constituency. He's also a private legal practitioner and also a member of a number of committees in Parliament. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, my brother. Good morning, Prof. Good morning. Good morning to you, and good morning to my people in South Dai.
Indeed.
Peki Kwali Pevetongo.
Professor Enoch Opoku Eji is a governance and leadership expert, also with the Academic City University. Good morning, Prof. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Alfred. And greetings to all your viewers and listeners.
Private legal practitioner Martin Bibu will be joining us in the next 30 seconds. And also, he's the leader of one of 3 individual bondholder groups, the convener of the Kumi Preko Reloaded demonstration, and also the Honorable Fuseni Issa, former Member of Parliament for the Okaikwe North constituency, also with us, has passion for both leadership and business. Good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Alfred. Good morning, Nelson. Good morning, Prof. Alfred, please permit me to say good morning to the good people of Okaikwe North. Last Wednesday, they came out in their numbers to support me, file my nominations for the upcoming NPP primaries. I pray and hope that at the time of the elections, by the time the elections come over, I'll still have their support. All I pray is for us to continue the good works that I had opportunity to do the last time around. And I'm so grateful. Okay. And I thank them very much.
Indeed. We would also keep an eye on that one as well, and all the best on that. Now, this Cecilia Dapaah case, this week, we saw a further amended charge sheet. Now, this is how the case has progressed over the last 7 weeks. This was the first charge sheet. In fact, the amended charge sheet that was made public. It had 4 accused persons. That is the Republic versus Patience Boche, who is now the 18-year-old. But when this case started, we'll now get to establish that, in fact, she was actually less than 18, and lawyer Martin Bibu was quite close to how this case panned out at the time. Benjamin Sowa, Kweku Boche, and Malik Dauda. These were the 4 accused persons in the initial instances of this case. Then another charge sheet surfaced. Take a look at that one. The second charge sheet had 5 people on that particular charge sheet. Then we had Patience Boche. Sarah Ejay was the next person who was added, who has been described as the other house help, who also aided Patience Boche in this alleged process of stealing. Benjamin Sowa is there. Kweku Boche, Patience Boche's father, whom eventually we got to know that has, in the last charge sheet, has been discharged, and we'll tell you why. And Malik Dauda, who is the ex-boyfriend of of Patience Boche. These 5. Then this further amended charge sheet has 8 people as the accused persons on it. Patience Boche, Sarah Ejay, Benjamin Sowa, Malik Dauda, and Christiana Achab. Christiana Achab is the new person, and then Job Pomari, another addition, Yaya Sumaila, another person, and then one Franklin Sarakpo, who is at large. So we see that Kweku Boche, that is Patience Boche's father, is not on this further amended charge sheet. And per the brief facts of this charge sheet, as we have a copy of, complainants in this case, Daniel Osei-Kuffour and his wife, Cecilia Dapaah, residing at Belengpe, Accra, and the first accused, Patience Boche. Mabna was a house help to the complainants. The second accused, Sarah Ajay, unemployed and a former house help to the complainants. Third accused, Benjamin Soa, the current boyfriend of Patience Botche. The fourth accused, Malik Dauda, the ex-boyfriend. And then the fifth accused person, one Christiana Achab, is described as a trader. And the sixth accused person, Job Pomare, is the husband of Christiana Achab. And the seventh accused person is Yaya Sumaila, is an excavator operator residing in Sadnerugu in the Tamale metropolis. And the eighth accused person, Franklin Sarapo, who is on the run, is the son of Christiana Achab. They all played various roles in there. Now, here's what happened. Sometime in June 2023, the complainants reported theft of their cash and some personal effects, as indicated on the face of the charge sheet, June 2023. Upon the receipt of the complaint, police commenced investigations into the complaint. Police investigations led to the arrest of Patience Botche and then also Benjamin Soa, that's Patience and the boyfriend, at their hideout in Tamale in the northern region. A search conducted in their room revealed cash sum of $40,000 and 72,619 cedis in the room of Patience Botche in Tamale. Police investigation revealed that sometime in October 2022, complainant Daniel Osei-Kufuor returned from town to observe that their bedroom, which was locked, had been opened and heard unusual noises in there. He entered the room and found Patience Botche hiding behind that Cecilia Dape's storeroom door with duplicate keys to the complainant's master bedroom. Subsequently, the complainants detected theft of properties indicated on the face of the charge sheet. Patience Botche, during interrogation, said she gave $70,000 out of the stolen money to A5, which is Christiana Achab, to buy a 3-bedroom house at Amranhia for her. The following brand new items which Patience Botche used some of the stolen money to buy were also retrieved from the house. 1 double-decker refrigerator, 1 television set, and so on, plenty items. Police investigations also established that Patience Botche used some of the stolen money to buy Hyundai Elantra for her boyfriend at a cost of 80,000 cedis, and also gave 180,000 cedis to Benjamin Soa, who used the same to purchase an unregistered Honda Civic car with DV plate number 4903, which same had been retrieved. Further investigation revealed, and these are now the accused persons, we'll put that on the screen, revealed that Patience Botche gave unspecified amount of money in dollars to her deceased brother. So Patience had a deceased brother, Joe, who is also mentioned in this charge sheet, who also parted some of the stolen money to A5. In this case, this is Christiana Achab, who also parted some of the stolen money to buy a wooden structure with her husband within the same locality. Christiana Achab, who knew that Patience Botche and had actually stolen the money from the complainants, also collected a total amount of 2,830 cedis of the stolen money. And Christiana Achab, upon receipt of the said amount, purchased an 11-unit chamber and hall self-contained at Butumburam at the cost of 800,000 cedis. So she also bought a house out of this money that was given to her. Patience, that's Christiana Achab, again, purchased a 3-bedroom house at Aplaku at the cost of 300,000 cedis for Patience Botche. So there are new houses coming up, new property that this money that's alleged to have been stolen was used for. So all of this brings up different dynamics to this case. And all of this is contained in the amended charge sheet. Another 300,000 house has been discovered. 11 chamber and hall unit self-contained house, Butumburam, has costing 800,000 cedis has also been discovered. And some 2.8 million has also been discovered, plus more cars and more household items. Honorable Nelson Roxon Davia McBall. I start off with you, pardon? Oh yes, for the ownership of the monies, contrary to the Attorney General's earlier advice in there that the $1 million stolen, $800,000 is said to have been that of Cecilia Dapa's deceased brother, and the $200,000 didn't know the ownership. This further amended charge sheet actually indicates that the total $1 million belongs to Cecilia Dapa. Over Nelson Roxon Davia McBall.
Yes. You want my take?
And let me welcome lawyer Martin Kpebu. Good morning, welcome.
Morning, Mr. Counsel.
Great. Now, I know you have followed this case. I mean, from the juvenile angle, because the Deputy Attorney General said that with this juvenile part of the case was not added to the docket that was given to them, the AG's office. So they were not aware of any juvenile matter in this particular case. But how did this juvenile aspect of this whole case come up to start with? Briefly.
Yeah, so that one is a fact, and I've stated it a few times here, right? Right from the beginning. So what we can do, and once again, let me state, under the Juvenile Justice Act, we are not to reveal the identity of the juvenile involved and not give any details that will help to identify that particular juvenile. So just a case went to the juvenile court, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, that was it. Actually, even before the juvenile court, the case first went to a circuit court, right, at the police headquarters.
I see.
Yes, even before the juvenile court, that juvenile was first arraigned before the circuit court. Yeah, at the police headquarters. Now there's this one-stop shop, to take care of juveniles and all those domestic violence issues, at the police headquarters there. So when that person was arraigned before that court, then evidence was led to show that that particular person was a juvenile. So the circuit court couldn't deal with that person. So under the law, if let's say a juvenile is alleged to have committed an offense with an adult, yes, then that one, they would, any other court apart from the juvenile court can deal with it, depending on what the offense is. But when is the juvenile alone, it's strictly the juvenile court, except also when it is murder or anything like that, right? Mm-hmm. So in this particular case, the first time it was only the juvenile who was put before the court, the circuit court. So the circuit court, I mean, as I said, evidence was led to show that no, that's not the right court. So the case was struck out. Then it was presented before the juvenile court. And at that place, the court went into it. That's why I said Madame Dapa eventually got her chance to take the stand, and she was cross-examined. So, and before then, before her cross-examination, all along, she had been crying about this money.
She's been crying?
Yes. So she came to the circuit court with a bag to show that, look, this bag was full of money at the time.
So the bag that is mentioned in this charge sheet, she brought it to court?
As to whether that particular, let's say she came with a bag to the circuit court. That the bag, at the time they arrested the juvenile, the juvenile had taken money full of that bag, or had taken that bag full of money. Okay, had taken that bag, was caught with that bag full of money. And what she did was that, look, Madame Dapa reported the investigator. She was not happy that they couldn't make a case about the stealing. Reported this investigator to the Interior Minister, hauled him before the police hierarchy, hauled him before the Attorney General's senior officers.
Wow.
That's how come I was surprised that in the docket, Deputy Attorney General said they didn't see anything. Look, I'm stating for the record, the case went to the Attorney General's office. There were very senior lawyers who met the investigator because Madame Dapa was consistently unhappy with the performance, so to speak, of the investigator at the stage, at that stage, because of his inability to crack the part of the case concerning the money.
The stolen money.
Yes. Her emphasis was on the money, and the investigator couldn't find evidence at that stage. So that's how come she hauled him before Interior Minister, reported him to the police hierarchy, reported him to the Attorney General's office. My understanding is the Attorney General wasn't involved himself, but were very senior lawyers who were involved. So it's perplexing to say the least that subsequently Attorney General can say that, oh, they are not aware that this case had been to earlier courts. It's not good. It's scary because it wasn't one lawyer, it wasn't two, it wasn't three. There were 4 lawyers. From the Attorney General's office? Yes.
Senior and principal state
yes.
attorneys.
So
had knowledge of this case from the beginning.
Very scared that the Attorney General's office did this thing, that this, what do you call it, statement can come and say that no, they are not aware of anything. 4 very senior people. Not all 4 were senior, but as I said, some were senior and then some were not, others were not, you see. So,
I see. So the AG's office did not have knowledge of this case at the time when it became public or when they asked for the docket of this case from the police. From the knowledge you have, they knew about it right from the get-go.
Yes, because Madame Dapaah had reported the investigator at the time, to the Attorney General. But my understanding is that the AG himself was not in the meeting, but very senior people, senior lawyers were in that meeting. So, so what is perplexing for me is that, hey, if AG is petitioned, he's not able to attend the meeting, and his senior lieutenants attend the meeting, is it that no report will be given to him about the outcome of the meeting? Is that how it's done? So, I mean...
But is that how it's done?
Yeah, so you see that it raises a lot of questions. It's not tidy at all. Hey, you petition, Madame Dapaah petitioned the AG. I'm not happy with the way this case is being handled. I've lost money, blah, blah, blah. Yet investigator is not able to show, is not able to crack this case. Can you look into it and all those other things? Then AG deputizes senior lieutenants to meet this and the investigator. Investigator goes to the meeting, he presents his case. Let's say everything that has to be done is done. And then we have been told that, so after a meeting, those senior lieutenants will keep minutes by themselves. They don't have to report to the Attorney General. That's very difficult to believe. Yeah, it's extremely difficult to believe. Extremely. I'm even very charitable. I'm being very, very, very mild. Yeah.
It's difficult to believe the AG's position on this matter that they didn't know
because
these details.
Very senior people. So the whole thing, even if it's not senior, even if you were to send a very junior officer, the point is that you were petitioned. The petition didn't go to those senior officers. You can't petition senior people in the AG's chambers, right? It has to be the AG himself. We know administratively that's a huge bureaucracy, right? So he can't possibly deal with everything personally, right? Yeah, so it's normal that he will delegate to trusted lieutenants, right? So the question is that, so after they've met the investigator and all that, is it that, or maybe it's not so important, so the reports that they've presented, they didn't get time to read through? So we can also understand, yes, it's possible he can't get time to possibly read through everything. That one, yes, I can understand it. Even privately, even at this stage, there are lots of things that your colleague lawyers in the firm will bring. You don't have time to be able to review everything. But so then, but there should be a system where somebody else would be seized with this kind of information, so that once they were going out public, that person will be able to make that input. Yeah. So we should look at it. We should look at it. As for the fact that they're even saying they are not aware, it's not good. As I said, because of the privacy issues involving juveniles, it would have been sufficient to say, oh, it was first presented before a certain court and blah, blah. You do it in such a way, you don't even have to say juvenile. If you say so, fine. But there had to be an acknowledgement that, look, Madame Dapaah spoke about this money last year. Her statements last year. She gets a huge money. Yes, she said she lost huge money.
That's what she said.
Based on last year. And then, as I said, during cross-examination, she came with the bag to tell the court that, look, this bag was full of money, you know.
But, so looking at how this case has evolved and the contradictions that Martin Kpebu is pointing out based on the knowledge he has of this case, right from the get-go. The AG is saying, the deputy AG is quoted as saying the docket that was submitted to the office had nothing about the case pending in any juvenile court. Martin Kpebu says that cannot be true, based on the knowledge that he has following this case right from the get-go, that the AG's office was furnished with at least some information because there were lawyers from his office on this case right from the get-go. The money in there, 800,000, 200,000, AG's advice. This amended charge sheet says, well, the full 1 million is that of Cecilia Dapaah. How this case is panning out? You're a lawyer. What do you see in there?
First of all, let me welcome Martin, and good morning once more to your viewers. I have also come into some information, additional information on the matter, and I think that as I sit here, the Attorney General should be resigning.
Oh.
Yes.
Attorney General
I will establish the basis for my call. What the Attorney General has done in this matter is embarrassing, is humiliating, is scandalous.
Why?
It's denigrating the office of the Attorney General.
How do you mean?
First of all, you just heard Martin inform you that they have always been aware that this matter went before a juvenile court. They claim they didn't know. They've always been aware that this matter was first arraigned before a circuit court. All right? Mm-hmm. For which the court said they could not seize jurisdiction because of the age of the accused persons, the suspect then accused that they had brought before the court.
But as Martin said, with the case that the office is aware, but
no. Let me tell you how. Let me tell you how criminal prosecution is done in this country. I even suspect that there would have been an initial request by the police to the office of the Attorney General for an advice. No. Oh, no. I will have sympathies for the AG in this matter because of his conduct. Because of his conduct in this matter. Now, even if an initial AG's advice was not sought, what they attempted to do by what we lawyers call concoction of facts.
What facts were concocted?
They concocted the facts as to the figures contained in the complaint against the suspects, now accused persons. You see, what has made this matter topical nationally and globally is the quantum of money. If it were the fact that Cecilia Dapaah lost 5,000 in her bedroom as a result of theft, nobody's bothered. In fact, everyone will sympathize with her, including myself. That you don't enter your boss's bedroom, it's still money. 10,000. 20,000 because of the caliber of the office she held until recently. Yeah. We would have sympathized with her. But it is the quantum of the amount of money stolen. Yeah. That is what has shocked the conscience of the nation and made this matter very topical. Mm-hmm. So for the AG to, as it were, concoct facts by varying the figures downwards, so that the conscience of the nation is no longer shocked, is what is scandalous and what is unethical of an Attorney General work of his sort. Now, let me go into this matter.
But if you look at the amended charge sheet, it does say that the complainant initially
yes,
came to the court with that narrative,
yes,
that the 800,000 belonged to a deceased brother, but did not state the exact ownership of the $200,000.
You see, I am basing this charge sheet, this is about the 5th time the charge sheet has been amended.
Yes.
So the latest will take precedence over all the other charge sheets. Mm-hmm. That's how lawyers consider it. So the latest set of facts, as given by now the prosecution, the police prosecution, the investigator and prosecution, is at gross variance with what the Attorney General has put out. That is the gravamen of my submission. That the Attorney General, in fact, he issued this advice and publicize it for all manner of people to believe that these are the truer facts. A fact that varied from the original facts. Essentially to say that the quantum of money and the determination of ownership of these monies were actually not of the person who is the complainant, but a relative of the complainant. So the nation should be rest assured that to the extent that we are alleging corruption and all that, that may not be the case. It's actually a family property that is under her care and trust. The investigators have come back to say that no, the complainer now is insisting that the monies were her monies. That is where I find the conduct of the Attorney General unacceptable and unethical. If you look at the discoveries by the police investigators on the other hand, and what the Office of the Special Prosecutor is also doing on the other hand, if you look at the gamut of money, the amount of money involved, it's in excess of 100 million.
Yes, yes.
It's in excess of 100 million at as recently as a month ago under the care of Cecilia Dapa in her home and in her bank accounts.
So about 100 billion.
100 million Ghana cedis plus in one person's home and account.
Yes.
This is not a matter. This is not money that you put in your back pocket and walk around with it. And let me again establish this. You see, but for the fact that this matter was leaked, we would not have known about it. Apparently, the matter, like you narrated about 2 weeks ago when we were here, the matter had been pending since last year.
Yeah.
And because of the age of the first suspected now accused person in the matter, it's been in abeyance until she attained the age of
one. Actually, not that. Let's not. There was an issue of somebody absconding. Somebody absconded, and that's what truncated the trial. And then it took time to find that person.
But you see, you know, we do this. When one person is when the suspect absconds, and the basis of our criminal jurisprudence is that the police can always proceed against a person on grounds of suspicion. All they need is suspicion. That they suspect
reasonable one, not unreasonable ones.
Oh, you know, they tell you we suspect that you've done this. It is you to establish that the suspicion was not reasonable. But once they suspect of you having committed a crime, about to commit a crime, or planning to commit a crime, they'll come after you. So to say that somebody absconded, somebody became a fugitive of justice, and therefore the matter couldn't proceed from last year, I think in some reasonable explanation they want to give. But we are here today. And it's such a serious matter that we must not joke with this matter. And as the minority, we are taking this matter very seriously. Look, persons have questioned the OSP in getting involved. The OSP has the mandate under Act 959 to go into the matter. And persons are also questioning why he went into the account and had the account frozen. Also, the law empowers him under Section 38. In the course of investigations, he has the power to do that. And 38(2) says that within 14 days, when he freezes the assets just to facilitate investigations, he has to go to court or notice to the respondent. And that's what is done for the court to confirm the freezing order under 39. So the Office of the Special Prosecutor is proceeding methodically and lawfully in the matter. And I want to commend him for that. But we want him to bring some speed and alacrity to the investigations so we can come to a certain determination. The other matter that I want to touch on this issue is this. Look, we are a nation that suffered a lot of disaster last year and this year. And indeed, about 3 months ago, when disaster, especially flood, hit Accra again, the minister until recently the Minister for Works and Sanitation and Water Resources, was brought to Parliament. One of her lamentations was lack of money, funding. Funding. That she didn't have money as a ministry. How do you reconcile a minister of state in charge of a certain ministry crying for inadequacy of funding to undertake a mandate of the ministry vis-a-vis over 100 million, over $10 million equivalent sitting in her possession? How do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile that? So these are very, very serious matters. She appeared before the Public Accounts Committee about 3 weeks ago or about a month ago. There are a lot of communities with water systems that are not functioning. An auditor or the Auditor General flagged these matters and made recommendations that these systems be put in order so the people can benefit from these water systems, as well as management. Again, she lamented inadequacy of funding. And so I cannot reconcile myself to that fact and the fact that she was sitting on top of tons of money. Monies that agencies under her ministry at the time were crying. Even disbursement, how to function, how to work, and undertake projects. So, Mr. Okansi, this matter is beyond mere criminal prosecution. It touches on our governance structure. It touches on corruption. It touches on public conduct of public officers generally. Conduct of public officers generally in this country. This will be my preliminary comments on the matter.
Well, let me be proposing on this as well, because we're taking this case in a graduated manner, because this week alone, it's taken very interesting twists and turns. Apart from the further amended charge sheet, which we have seen, giving further details of more money plus more property that these accused persons were alleged to have acquired, and what the special prosecutor has done, which we'll get into. But I stated specifically earlier that the narrative of the money, the ownership of the money, the $800,000 that the complainant, that's Cecilia Dapa, initially went to the police to say belongs to her deceased brother, and the 200,000
now it belongs to her.
And that particular narrative has also been captured by the OSP as the initial complaint that was given by Cecilia Dapa. You say that per the law, the current charge sheet as amended takes precedence over any other thing that's captured in the previous charge sheet.
That is why it is called amended charge sheet, to reflect the current situation. In any case, Cecilia issued 2 statements in this matter. 2. The initial statement was to the effect that this matter has become public. She will take steps to correct some inconsistencies contained in the facts supporting the charges leveled against the accused persons, because those inconsistencies have generated public debate. That was the first initial statement. Then she issued another statement, as it were setting the record straight. And that statement was officially released by her. In that statement, she didn't deny ownership of the amounts of monies that had been made public. And there's no other statement she's issued since then, apart from her letter of resignation. So where did the AG get his facts from?
From the initial complaint?
No. You see, if you want to rely on document, you rely on every document that is available to come to a certain conclusion. So, apart from an initial statement to the police, the woman has issued a statement indicating the amounts of money clearly in her own statement carrying under her signature.
And can we read it?
Which one is more authoritative than that? And that is the last statement, as I speak, issued by her on this matter. Any other fabrication by any other entity will not be accepted to us.
Can we read the statement?
That statement should be available.
Really?
If you can read a second statement on the matter indicating the amount which, as it were to her, was to correct the wrong impressions in the public domain. She's not run away from the amount.
While he's looking to read that, you guys have spoken from the legal perspective.
Yes.
Let me come to the social part of this.
Very well.
Let
me conclude before you.
Okay.
So to wind up,
in 30 seconds.
Yes, the AG, what the AG does in these matters is to either advise the police prosecution to proceed, that's which is advised, or to direct that the docket be forwarded to his office so that they take it over and prosecute. That's what you do. You don't take the charge sheet from the AG, vary it, and as it were, vary the figures downwards as contained in the brief facts.
You mean you take the charge sheet from the police?
You take the docket. The practice is that you give advice and direct that they should proceed as they are doing prosecution. Or the AG will give advice and direct that as part of the advice, you forward the docket in question to its office, to the AG's office, so that the AG's office will take over prosecution. You don't take the charge sheets as determined by the investigators of the case. You have investigated the matter. The AG's office didn't investigate the matter. It's the police prosecution and police investigator that did. So you don't take their set of facts and concoct facts.
But was it wrong with the AG performing the job of proffering advice
in the performance of that job? You don't commit a crime. You don't commit fraud. You don't concoct facts.
What is the fraud in there?
The fraud is to review the figures downward, so the generality of the people are not scandalized. I made the point that if the money were 5,000, nobody would be shocked. Nobody would be concerned.
Okay.
This matter would not be sitting on your desk. That's the point I'm making.
So
attempt to say that the 1 million was now 800,000, and even the 800,000 was now the property of a family relation.
If you read the AG's advice, and I'm going to
go through
specifically on the advice, he makes reference to the initial complaint by Cecilia Dapa that the 800,000.
Did the AG give advice? Did he quote anything from that complaint?
No,
thank you.
No, he only made reference to.
So why didn't he make reference to the Cecilia Dapa's own public statement? Why didn't the AG conveniently refuse to make reference to Cecilia Dapa's statement, which would take precedence over the complaint made to the police, if he cares to analyze the issues as it came before him?
You know, there's also that part of the advisor talked about the establishment of the ownership of the said monies, even after.
Yes, but I'm saying that her
narrative by
second statement, in fact, her initial statement sought to suggest that she correct the facts and the figures. And she issued a second statement to correct. In so correcting, she didn't deny ownership of the amount of money. Yes, read that statement.
We'll pull it up. In fact, it's something that we'll pull up and we'll put on the screen shortly. Professor Nchi, we're talking about the social aspect of this.
Yes, Alfred.
And how this also borders on governance, not just the social aspect, but the governance questions that this particular issue brings up as well.
Well, Alfred, talking about governance and leadership, I think that from Russia to Niger to NTCC, leadership has failed us. And I say this because my friends at Latebi Okoshi, those at Have, those at Jasika Wabu number 4. And Peve.
If you mention Have,
yes, Peve. I stayed in Jasika before, so I know that place very well. They want to understand it from that social perspective. So let's soften this down. When you have money stolen and you can't tell us the source of that money, then two speculations can come in here. Either you have stolen the money yourself, or you won the lottery, or it's drug money. So let's establish that fact, because I'm going to do deductive and deductive analysis here. Money has been stolen. I was surprised to see that the media is talking about the names of those individuals. That also borders on ethics. Because you talked about the juvenile issue, but mentioning the names of those who have stolen items and it's at the court. Borders on ethics as well, media ethics.
Well, but I mean, let's establish this, that these names actually only came up into the public domain after this particular juvenile.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm saying that the media should not waste time talking about the names. But let's talk about the context of what they've done. The substance that they have stolen.
I think the substances has been established beyond the name that have been mentioned.
I wanted to establish that fact.
I think you in giving the basis for this case, I read specifically what all these persons that have been mentioned in this amended
use the money that is stole for. So I understand that context, but I'm coming from the angle that let's talk about the context of they stole money. That's the bottom line. Now, it is not appropriate to steal money from your bosses. I think Honorable have already said that. But a public servant remains as such. You are there to serve the public. So if you are looking at this amount of money found in her house, I've been asking myself, why her? For the past month, people have been talking about this woman and everything, and can't we move on with other stories? But the reason why we can't move on is that there are many constructs to this story that every day new things keep coming. And when do we stop it? In the first place, the money that she was holding is more than enough to open a rural bank account. So a whole rural bank, that money can establish a whole rural bank.
Thank you.
Apart from that, she is sitting on the money that when she went to Parliament, this money could have been used to borrow the whole ministry. She could have borrowed the whole, I'm telling you. I am telling you this, my friend, go and check the number, the quantum of money. That money could have been used. She could have used the money. Remember Mobutu Sese Seko, remember him? Mbenga was a Benga. He was borrowing money to Zaire at that time. Yes, go and read history. I'll tell you a lot about history and even Niger, what is happening here. So let's read. So what I'm saying is that the amount that she has sitting on, she could have borrowed the ministry that money to solve the problem that she went to Parliament to talk about, that she started with money in her department.
Thank you.
My friend, I'm serious about this. Be serious. We are talking about a situation where somebody cannot get Gary and granite to eat in a day. And we have public servants sitting on this amount of money, and people are washing that down. They are watering that as if it is nothing. I am scared and ashamed by this behavior. Why? Because she has let herself down. She's helped her family down. She's let her political party down. She's let the nation down. We are living in a situation where Bank of Ghana has stuck us in 60 billion debt. The country is crawling on its knees. We don't have money. And I can tell you on fact that Alfred, as we sit here, there are more monies at homes than at banks. Why are we doing this to ourselves? And people will ask, oh, you talk like NDC, you talk like MPP. I talk like SQZIL. Yeah. People always think that political parties are more intelligent than individuals. That's wrong thinking. Forget about NDC, forget about MPP. I am speaking for the ordinary person on the street. People are suffering. The street is dark. That's what Black Sherry said. The street is really getting dark. That is why we are seeing coup d'etats out there. If in this time of poverty, people are going through this, then power has corrupted a lot of people. So the bottom line is that this money, whether they lie to the Attorney General is lying, we all know that this is politics. And the politics doesn't help the ordinary person on the street. How do we get in a situation that public servants will not be keeping such money on themselves? I have some classmates of Madam Cecilia Dapa who spoke to me about what she's gone through her life. I didn't even know that she was once a secretary of Kwame Piani, the former chief of staff. When Kojo Piani, when she wanted to, Kojo Piani wanted to stand for president, she was his personal secretary. And there are a lot of things that she has done through her life. I also learned where she went to school, and her classmates talking about what she's gone through personally in her personal life. So she's really served, And to go through this, I've already said in many platforms that for a woman to put such amount of money in her house and can sleep comfortably, I'm surprised by that. Because research has shown that women are not that daring to be corrupt as men. So for her to be able to hold that kind of money and sleep comfortably, I'm surprised about that. But I went to Israel, and there's something that I saw. The Sadducees and the Sanhedrin and the Pharisees, you know, when they realized that Jesus is becoming popular, they decided to kill him. But it was too late for them. They waited 3.5 years for the man to be popular before they killed him. And after that, you know, the message has already spread. So she waited too long, and it's too late for her.
You mean she waited too long to do what?
She waited too long to declare the source of the money. So now, as we speak here, take the law out, take everything out. It's like thief man, thief, thief man. The money, she has not declared the source yet. What is the source? Now we have the amended charge sheet. If you go to any constitutional board, the constitution, the amended part, after I'm establishing a part, the amended part of a constitution...
But that's the subject of investigation.
Yes.
The amended source of the money is a subject of investigation. So there's actually no evidence that the money is either stolen.
What I'm saying is that she has not been able
wanted to establish
the source of that money. So I
that is subject for investigation.
That if you can't tell me the source of your money, then either you stole it or it is a drug money.
But that's subject for
investigation. Please let me make my point.
Yes.
Yes, they are investigating, but we can also speculate because she's a public figure.
So, Prof, you see,
I don't know why you are heckling. Let me establish the base of my argument.
I'm not heckling you.
Yes.
I'm not heckling you.
Yes.
And it's to establish.
People are angry. We should not sit here and sugarcoat things.
Yes. I'm not heckling you. I'm actually ensuring that your statements stay within the premise.
It is within.
I'm coming.
It is within.
I'm coming. Let me. The premise and the brackets of the law, so that you yourself, you are flanked by lawyers. You yourself won't actually land yourself in trouble with the law for certain I'm coming.
Okay.
Certain things that you would say. I'm only telling you that one, what you are talking about is a subject for investigation.
Yes.
So if you are speculating, it should be within the remits of the law. I cannot say that because I can't establish the source of your wealth, because you haven't said it, then it means it's something that's stolen. So I just want you to be guided. I'm not heckling you.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Thank you for that submission.
Good. Yes.
Yes.
So under the law, if you find you something you can't account for,
please. And that's why.
That's the point that I was trying to make.
Just. So it is
the
layman's perspective that I just wanted us to guide.
And you understand where I'm coming from. That
at least you are guided.
Okay.
Yes, you are guided.
So
Yes,
I'm
speaking laws. So under the law, if we can't find the source of your income, then it's confiscated by the state because we don't know the source.
Indeed.
And that is what I'm saying.
So I just want it to be guided. That's all.
Yes. So thank you for the guidance. I really appreciate that on a Saturday morning when it is 8:04 a.m. All right. So the point is that the woman, it has been too late for her to tell her the source of that money. If she had come earlier to tell us that this is the source of my money, let's say it's my money that I saved, because we are talking from the amendment sheet, the updated one. And even in Constitution, the amendment one supersedes the old one. So the new one is saying that the money belongs to her. And it came out after we have some media people saying that coming from the brother who was a chief and is deceased. Then the brother who died, wife, came and said, I didn't know my husband had that kind of money, so I'm coming for it. Then other people, even in US, sued for money laundering. When they realized that the case was escalating, then she came out to say that it is my money. Remember, about 2-3 weeks ago, we were sitting here, and I said that she should declare the source of that money quick. If it is the political party's money that they gave to you, tell the world. Because now you've resigned. You have nothing to lose again. So I am speaking for Madam Cecilia Dapaah, her own image. That when integrity is lost, the whole country dies. You have worked so hard in politics to get to where you are. Unfortunately, this has happened. Somebody has stolen your money. You went to report about the money loss, and now you have become the victim because you are a public servant. That's not what she was expecting to happen.
Complainant and accused.
Complainant and accused. So now that we want to solve the problem, I am being empathetic to her that please come out and tell the world the source of the income. When you do that, most of these speculations about Attorney General, about the people speculating the source of the money, everything will come down.
Right.
Once you remain quiet about the source, because some media people have come out to say that it belongs to this, it belongs to that, which turn out not to be true. So if we are building this story on lies, then it's going to crumble one day. Because we can always poke the truth from the middle when we aim. So the lawyers can come in, individuals can come in, people have stolen money, but ultimately we need to know the source of this income. Once we get to know the source of it, then we can proceed with those who have stolen the money, why they stole the money, and then we can charge them and send them to court.
No, but
that is my point.
If we don't find them under the law, once you can't explain how you came into this world,
so that's the bottom line.
There will be confiscation proceedings, so they'll be confiscating. Well, it didn't start today from Kwame Nkrumah.
I am helping the woman, so people should understand that, you know, tell her the source of money so that they will not take your personal income. She's worked so hard. She's worked so hard in her personal life that she has at least accumulated some money. That has all been frozen now. Her personal money and this money that was found and stolen has all been frozen now. So as we speak, I don't know how she's going to survive.
No, so when they go to court under the law, the OSP Act, okay, is that there's a 40, yeah, under Section 40. So her lawyers will make that argument. So the court will give her reasonable sums for her upkeep,
so that she can keep it and turn around with it.
Yes. So once the statement shows that government of Ghana, like as a minister, her salary was going to the same account, income. Showing legitimate.
She's resigned as a minister now.
Yes, but so we are talking about the past. So all this time, if it shows how she earned other income legitimately, and basically she must also survive, under Section 40, the judge will make provision for that. And then
thank you. So Alfred, to conclude my point, never again should this happen to a public servant. All money should go to the banks. I started by saying that there seems to be more money at the homes now than the banks. And I heard a preacher saying that if you go to homes now, check the polytanks, there might be money stacking.
Yeah, the polytanks.
People are speculating a lot, and we should not be sitting here and talking as if everything is okay.
Yeah,
the grassroots,
the president should be going.
The grassroots is suffering. I was surprised to see the president saying that she served with integrity and everything. Your loyalty to a political party is different from your loyalty to the country. That is why me, in particular, I respect Mike Spence in U.S. more than Donald Trump. Because when Donald called Mike Spence to his office and said that, now this is what is happening, will you declare your loyalty to me? He said, no, I declare my loyalty to the Constitution of America. I want individuals in leadership to declare their loyalty to our Constitution. And our Constitution talks about asset declaration. We'll talk about that when we get there. It has been horrific the way we declare assets. Because I come in and tell you that, and you have been there, I come and tell you that I have 3 plots of land at Esikuma. I have 2 houses and I have 3 cars. They just write it down. Nobody goes to verify all these things. And I have this money in my account. Nobody goes to verify.
Does it not bring, so that's the bigger governance question that
yes, so at the end of my service, if I'm able to acquire all these, I stated from the beginning that I have them. So when I'm leaving office and then I tell you that this is what I have, you did not in the first place come to verify. What are we doing with the national service people and other things? Can't they go and verify? So we need to create employment. I've said it many times that if we don't find the youth something to do, somebody to live for, somebody will find us something to die for. Our youth are just sitting down idle doing nothing. Unemployment, even when we come to Ghana Statistical Services, the figures we are giving to the rest of the world about our unemployment figure, which is 30%, is wrong. Unemployment is more than that in our system. The youth are just sitting down, doing nothing, smoking, drinking, doing nothing. And the leaders, because you can make a living, we all can make a living and decide not to speak. When I come here, I am pained because I've traveled all over the world. When I see that the youth who have great potential, you heard what happened to Dana Hamilton's husband. He said he was selling graphics on the street. He went just 6.5 miles away, 10,000 kilometers away to UK, and he's now a medical doctor. We are wasting human resources here. And leaders sit as if everything is comfortable. No, it's not. We should wake up, and and the youth should be angry enough to demand accountability from our leaders. We are talking about Nigeria here, where the president, what is the name? Tinubu. The only thing he can open is his mouth, not even his leg. And he's asking that our brothers and sisters should go and fight in Niger.
We will get to that Niger.
Yes,
matter.
I am angry because our youth are angry. They are hungry. A common form, people are hungry. Yes, on the street. The police, anytime I'm driving, they will prof, a common form. People are suffering. Our leaders should not behave like everything is right in this country. We should rise up. That is what leadership is about. Rise up and be counted. We should be aware of the situation on the ground. It seems we are not aware. We should be aware.
Timidity.
You can't sit on such money when there is hunger and people are begging on the street. Women are carrying things on their head and selling by the street. And my Tommy, they are everywhere just to make a living, 1 meal a day. A public figure, we voted for it. Before we voted for them, there were nothing.
Exactly.
There were just nothing on the street. You came to these people on the street to vote for you. Now they vote for you because you are comfortable. You don't think about their welfare. I'm appalled by this.
Professor Eric Enchi.
Enoch
Enchi. Thank you. And let me come to you, John Moe, because for this particular issue and how things are traveled, anybody who is looking and observing the inconsistencies in there will be asking fundamental questions about what is happening and why the story is being told differently from different cortices. You, as a politician, should be concerned as well as to how this also impacts on the political class and the mindset that you only go into office to go and amass wealth for yourself at the expense of the people. Honorable.
Alfred, thank you. I've sat here for well over an hour listening to my good friends come out with very interesting things that I'm learning on this case today. But you see, Alfred, we all as a people should be able to stand up and fight certain ills within our society. It is not for nothing. I recollect being part actively in the 2016 election campaigning of the New Patriotic Party, and one of the things that we had promised was to fight graft. In fact, I was in Parliament, and the very first act that we passed in the 7th Parliament was that of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. It was to create a framework that will enable us fight some of these ills within our society. But when it happens, I think we have to keep a cool head. It is not the time for us to be calling for upheavals and all that. We've seen what's happening in other nations.
Nobody's calling.
I don't think anybody.
Prof, when you were speaking, I was here. I was very quiet. And you told me to be serious because I chuckled. You better also be serious. Else I
stared at me. That is why. So your eyes spoke.
Prof. Deji.
I was here and I listened to you. You dare not. You dare not intervene. Don't.
I did not intervene.
You dare not. I'm telling you.
You proceed.
Thank you, Alfred.
Proceed. Don't.
When it happens, we have a framework to fight some of these things, and I think that we should keep cool heads. And I think that we should keep cool heads. The matter is still under investigations. Speculations, I don't think it's fair to be speculating, and especially in this day and age, where both traditional media and social media are coming up with all sorts of speculative statements, which might not be embedded in facts. We have seen on social media amounts being bundled around as to whether they are factual or not. Somebody sits somewhere, concocts a figure, puts it. Look, the assumption of being innocent until proven guilty, it is something that we all should uphold. And it is something that is guaranteed by our Constitution. The matter is still in court. You can speculate what the sources are. But if it is not factual, it goes on to paint a picture which also might not be factual, and ultimately in the court of public opinion, people are going to form whatever opinions they have based on what they have, based on these speculations. At the end of the matter in court, when there is, they don't have what, or the outcome of the matter in court, it's not what they expect based on what has been speculated in the court of public opinion, then the institutions are questioned. I mean, we've seen a lot of this in the recent past. I think that, look,
whatever has been said so far here, I've made specific reference to what is on the face of the charge sheet.
Certainly, I am coming to that, Alfred. I am coming to that, Alfred. I am speaking to what is happening beyond what we are, what has been discussed here this morning. Because I have seen figures on social media as to whether they are actual or not.
That's not the subject of the discussion. So, specifically,
what we are saying, Martin.
Okay, no.
Martin, go to court. You hear those figures.
Martin, you wait.
Martin, please. Right.
I'm not discussing the figures you have seen on social media. I'm talking specifically about details I've made reference to copiously.
Certainly.
On
and
this charge sheet.
Alfred,
yes?
We all know, in cases of this nature, in the process of investigation, when investigations are ongoing, every now and again, the charge sheets are amended. And they are amended based on new facts that have come to the fore as a result of the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So, as the matter travels, certainly, I mean, some earlier accused people have been dropped from the charge sheets, some have been added. It's a process ongoing. Why won't we allow the institutions in charge conduct and finish their investigations rather than go on with these speculative issues that are going to mar the whole case? Beyond that, I am gathering that whatever the Attorney General said were facts that were gathered from the charge sheets.
Which charge sheet are you talking about?
Which charge sheets? That's what we are saying. There have been various charge sheets since the case started, hasn't there?
Yes, no,
at what point did the AG give out that statement, and on what charge sheet was available to him at that particular point? At that particular time, which of the charge sheets were available to the AG? It is not about being angry. It is not about but let's stick to the facts of the case. Somebody is saying that the former minister had appeared in Parliament at a certain point in time, and she was sitting on money that she could. Please, please. I think that we should be able to distinguish what personal property is from what public property is. And she is, and I will insist, and every Ghanaian should be treated as being innocent until proven guilty. If it is not proven that this money is from an ill-gotten source, why do we speculate that the nation needed resources at a point in time, and she had resources, and she could have gone on to lend, and linking this to Mobutu Sese Seko? Please, let's be serious on this, on some of these issues. If it is personal property, she decides to do what she wants to do with her personal property.
We hear.
Who forces someone to lend money to the state? And if I have property, if I have cash, there is no legislation, no act anywhere that says or advises where you have to keep your cash. If I have cash and I decide to keep it in my kitchen, so be it. It is mine. And if it's earned, so be it. It is not a case of my stand this morning, right? Alfred, is let's allow the state institutions to go through these investigations. Let's allow the court to deal with what they have to deal with. And I mean, if the sword falls on whoever, so be it. So be it. But we shouldn't go fishing, speculating, with all sorts of you sit here and you say, well, you want to tell us that this woman had led a life, she had served this nation. I am not holding brief for her, right? But let's be fair to every Ghanaian, and that one the Constitution guarantees that. There is no use at all us getting hot-headed and calling people on the streets because of this matter when we have actually not gotten to the bottom of it.
So, there's been no specific statement of people being called onto the street. If you are making inference,
that's different.
He's making his own words. Yes, indeed. But then again, I'm coming. So because he's making specific reference to the statement Professor Enchi
said. You don't want me to interject. You should be interested in correcting him.
I didn't interject when you were speaking. So I deserve the respect from you.
Definitely.
I deserve the respect from you. You have made your point, so you also have to allow me to make.
Nobody has made a point.
Don't interject because I was sitting there quietly.
You made your point. Nobody. But we have all been sitting here for now.
Thank you.
Yes.
The fundamental issue here, which has been the subject of the initial conversation which we've been having, which has graduated to this point, is one, the facts on the face of this further amended current charge sheet. That the Honorable Tafiya report raised concerns about what was contained previously in the earlier charge sheet. And by the law, this current charge sheet takes precedence or supersedes every other that has gone by. That is what the position of the law is. That has been established. So if the face of this current charge sheet says that the $1 million is stated as the property or belongs to Cecily Adapa, the question is, if the Attorney General in the advice referred to the $800,000 being that narrative of being that of her deceased brother, and the $200,000 the specific owner wasn't stated, should not be a concern for you that investigations should establish the true ownership of this said money? Especially because of the inconsistencies in the declaration of the ownership of who owns this money.
Alfred,
that should be the subject of investigation.
Alfred, I will agree with you that the source of these funds needs to be established. And I don't think that the investigations are ongoing without keeping an eye on establishing where the source of these funds, what the source of these funds are. My point is that the separation of the amount between 800 and 200, that details was also on a charge sheet at the point in time. Is that not right, Alfred? The advice the Attorney General gave, I learned, is also from the facts he gathered from the charge sheets, right? So at the point of the AG giving that advice, at what version of the charge sheet, the changing of the charge sheet or the amendment of the charge sheet, it's legit. That's what we show ourselves. It's legit. So at that point in time, the information is there, and even going further, when you give something to me to keep in my and the properties in my possession, and something happens, in this case, somebody comes to steal the item, and I go to the police to make a report, and I report it as my property. I don't think that there is any matter there, because the matter was in my possession, in my property, in my bedroom. At the time it got lost. If investigations further want to establish a source, and I give further and better particulars about the ownership of the property, I don't think that there is any disconnection.
That's a core argument.
That's
where issue is. That's a core argument. Why you are intellectual? Don't do this. Don't do this.
Alfred,
there's a difference between what the position of the law is.
Then we will not go to law school.
There's a difference what the position of the law is and what you are saying.
This to law, please.
I am not a lawyer.
Then go to law school.
So let's talk about what you know.
How can you everybody go to law school? You think everything is common sense? How can you say that?
Everything is not common sense. Even our law is common law.
Hold on.
This is a private conversation.
Even our law is common law.
Lawyer, I'll come to you on that.
You don't know.
I'll come to you on that.
You don't know. I have this mobile phone that I have access to, that I'm using. Do you know whether it belongs to me? When legally you go and check who bought it and who actually bought it and in whose name it is registered. You cannot establish that on the face of it.
Don't let you talk like that.
On the face of it, you cannot establish it. So let's allow the investigations to establish who the ownership is. And if over time, the charge sheet is amended to the extent that the source
is being established. So be it. What is the problem
Which
about
law
that?
is that?
So the premise is establishing is that we should all keep quiet until the law takes its course, and we can't talk about that.
These are technical legal matters. You can't come and sit as a layperson and be pontificating.
Let me now come to you on this.
I have every right as a layperson to show and share my opinion on this case. You cannot say because I'm a lawyer.
No,
I should not talk about it. As a layperson, I will talk about it.
So we are correcting you. So when we correct you,
the person is a public person. The person is a public figure.
Yes. Lawyer Martin Bebo, and before.
So let's correct it before you get things in. Look, viewers, what he said is totally false. Listen, you go to the police station, you have to state exactly what it is. If you go in there, the property is not yours, and you state in the complainant statement that it's yours. Look,
that's the seat of public.
Yes, inconsistency. So when you get to court, what we do in court is that we call for the complainant statement. Yes. We read. Did you see when you went to the police station? What did you say? You said it's yours. Today you are saying it belongs to X. You destroy your case, please. I beg you. We are not saying don't comment.
Alfred,
technical matters, please.
And that is why
I'm citing a typical example.
Yes.
I have the use of this phone this morning, right? It is mine at this point. On the face of it, it is mine.
Okay.
I lose this phone. I go to the police station. I state that my phone is missing. My phone is missing. And when the investigation starts, and the police or whoever is investigating wants to establish in whose name is this phone registered, then I'll come up with further and better particulars.
But your initial position, you said.
I'll come up with better and better particulars.
Wait,
it is mine.
Your narrative, you said your phone was stolen. Your phone was stolen. You are the owner of the phone at the time it was stolen.
Yes.
You went to the police and said, my phone is stolen.
Yes.
If investigations go ahead and actually prove that the phone that you said is yours is actually not yours, you have deceived the police officer with your initial complaint that the phone belongs to you.
Alfred, what I'm saying is,
that's
on the
actually
face of
problematic.
it, this morning, you assume that because I have possession of this phone and I have the right to use it, it is mine.
No, you said that the phone.
But you have just stated the narrative you are going with is what I'm questioning you.
Of course.
Anyway, Lawyer Martin Pebu, you see, this one, there's Alfred Tuah-Yeboah, Deputy Attorney General, says, good morning. The position is that the police submitted only one docket to the Attorney General, and that is the docket on the stealing pending at the Circuit Court. No docket relating to any case pending before any other court was submitted to us, which we now understand has been pending before a juvenile court.
That's not what we are saying.
What we are saying is
yes, ought to have been commented on.
Yes,
that's what we are saying.
Yes, so please,
because that was also official.
That was also official.
So were they briefed or not? So the question is, were they briefed or not?
So it's now my turn. So Mr. Tuah-Yeboah, let us see, a very nice man. Okay. Yes, let's restate. What we are saying is that there is cause for concern that at a point in time when this matter was before the juvenile court, Madam Cecilia Dapaah petitioned the AG that she wasn't happy with how the prosecution was being done, and that, of course, she had suspicions about incompetence on the investigations and the prosecution and all that. It came there, so it means that it was the AG himself who was petitioning. AG delegated some senior officers to, meet the investigator. So it was a committee. It was grilled to find out, hey, when the minister petitions the AG, the investigator is suffered, though. That was the first investigator. He suffered. He was hauled before Interior Minister. He was hauled before the police hierarchy. All before Attorney General, everybody just poking him left, right, center, that he's not doing his job well, right? So what we're saying is that senior, and we don't want to mention names, I mean, you and I, we know each other, so privately you can ask me, we'll give you names, ask them. So the problem is that you've been saying this every day, that one docket was given to you, and we are pointing out to you that very senior people in your own chambers met the investigator and we're told about these things. So since the day we started mentioning that this case went to the juvenile court, why don't you just summon the senior people and ask them? Every time you bring this statement, one docket was given to us. I mean, it doesn't look it's not forward-looking enough. We are saying, and we are lawyers, and we've known each other at the bar for all these years. Now, you can send me a message, call me, who are the people? Then you ask. But every time we mention this thing, only one docket was given to us. Yeah, but we've given you extra information that very senior people, very senior lawyers met the investigator. So why don't you, if you can't find them, ask me privately for names. I will supply you. But it's not encouraging at all that every time you mention this matter that this case was in court last year, then you get a refrain from Mr. Tian Yeboah that only one docket was given to us. Can't you do further investigations? Can't you? Maybe I'll reach out to him after this
please do.
This program to give him. But he is the big man, so and he has many people, so he can send people.
That it's a possibility, and that's what he
said.
said.
No.
His advice is based on the docket.
If it's a possibility.
He is a public officer. He has a bigger burden. Yes. So if you've heard something, you ask me, oh, Pebu, and we've known each other over all these decades. Oh, Martin, what are the names? Or this, you don't do, but you don't consistently bring an answer that only one docket was given to you. When we are giving you further information, further and better particulars, it's not good. So that's
that's a specific response.
Is that all?
Yes. I mean, I think you've just responded to that particular person, especially because that has been the refrain or the narrative from the AG over the period that it was just one docket and they have no knowledge of this case at the circuit court, which you mentioned. Yeah, that this case actually began at the circuit court before
went to the juvenile court. Then somebody absconded. Then so it stalled the trial. From December, around December, the trial was ongoing into January this year. Then somebody absconded and it stalled the trial. So all those saying that because somebody was a juvenile, that's why the case stalled. No, that's not the reason. Under our laws, even juveniles are tried. Yeah, we have a different dispensation. I always say because we have to give them a second chance and all that. Yeah, so it just stalled because somebody absconded. And it took a long while to look for that person, a lot of police intelligence and all that. Then, of course, good Samaritans or people who were very peeved. I'll tell you, maybe someday we should write a book about it. Look, let me tell you, the main side there, it tells you how sometimes citizens are motivated. The person who sought Madame Dapa and revealed the whereabouts of the person who absconded is because the person was pained that they weren't giving that person enough of the money. So this is what happened. The person heard the information that somebody had taken money, and then he said, oh, is that so? Then he recorded it and asked for part of the money. Then he was giving some, but what he was giving, he wasn't satisfied. He asked for more.
The stolen money, the sharing.
Yes.
He didn't get enough of it.
Yes.
So he was the one who went to chook.
He went to chook. So he chooked. Yeah, he did a lot of investigations to go and chook.
And this is coming from
whistleblower with an agenda.
But Alfred, would you say that I think we should recommend a special prosecutor?
In fact, I was just coming to that.
This one, you haven't given a substantive question.
Yes. All the questions I've been asking you, all the questions, respectfully, please, all the questions I've been asking you are substantive, especially because of the knowledge of this case.
No, sir, I don't think maybe it's not been lengthy.
Yes. But I think that
so that we can have a graduated conversation.
We should recommend the special prosecutor for this. I think the special prosecutor has distinguished his office for this.
Okay, let's.
Yes. We'll come to that.
I am.
The special prosecutor.
The special prosecutor has done a yeoman's job on this by walking to the Belenque house, searching for that, and then making sure that assets are frozen. He is following the law, and this is what every public officer is supposed to do to take out the public purse. We don't have enough in our public purse.
Thank you.
And we should be watching it.
Indeed, the special prosecutor is the next leg of the conversation. So Alfred Tian Yeboah is Deputy Attorney General. He's joining us on the telephone. It's just... Mr. Tian Yeboah, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Key Point. Hello? Hello? We would... Hello, Mr. Tian Yeboah, can you hear me? We'll try and work on the telephone to get him back on it, and because he called him to, I think that aspect of how this case started and the fact that there were representatives, lawyers
from the Attorney
General
office.
office.
That thing can never be denied. There are court papers, court proceedings on it.
Okay. Mr. Chaiboa, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Great. Now, your office, the Attorney General, are you aware or do you have knowledge of this Cecily Dapaah case starting at the circuit court, even before getting to the juvenile courts that you say you don't have the docket on?
Thank you very much. Let me put this one in perspective. Our office got to know about this whole Dapaah matter when the Chronicle reported it. So from that report, the following Monday, the police submitted a docket to us. In that docket was this matter about stealing. In that docket is an issue about reports having been made to the police in Tesano in 2022. So in the advice that we rendered, we questioned why we could not even see the statement offered by the complainant at the case at Tesano. So even at sea, or we even confused as to what happened with respect to the Tesano case. That's why we queried that one. Now we only got to know about the statements given by Madame Dapaah and the husband in July 2023. These are the statements. We saw statements given by the accused persons in July 2023. We saw nothing about cases pending in 2022, whether in the juvenile court or in the circuit court. But subsequent to our advice to the police, we got to know that actually there was a matter pending in the juvenile court. Could you have taken steps to get the docket from the police? So that's the position. So our opinion or advice that you have is based on the 2023 docket, in which everything from our point of view, what we were told happened in July of 2023. Nothing about juvenile court, nothing about other circuit court case pending in 2022.
Well, but we're learning this morning that there were lawyers from your office who were present,
state attorneys,
and state attorneys for that matter, who were present at the circuit court when this case started from your office.
In terms of, in fact, if that's information, we need to also look at that information. In fact, we've been happy that we are getting information from, for example, my firm at the table about the case pending at the juvenile court, which have taken steps to work on. So the police, they not usually do the prosecutions in the various courts until our attention is drawn to a pending case. And we are advancing our docket. We are not able to do anything outside the docket that we are given. So instead of information you provided, we follow it up to see whether attorneys were in court, were they handling the matter, or they were in court to do what. We'll be looking at all those things. I'm not for the information you provided.
I see, but is your office also aware that Cecily Dapaah, during the initial stages of this case, actually petitioned the AG's office, your office, about the conduct of the investigator, the investigator on this case?
He was called for a Sanhedrin.
The investigator was actually questioned as to why there isn't much interest to establish the monetary aspect of this particular case, the monies that were stolen. Are you aware of that?
If I get this question, is Madam Dapaah petitioned our office?
Yes, she raised concerns. She raised concerns about the investigator on this case at the initial stages when it was at the circuit court and even graduated to the juvenile court. She raised concerns about the investigator on this case not showing so much seriousness to establish the money, the quantum of the money that was involved. Your office did not get that notice?
I have not cited any petition by Madam Dapaah. If Madam Dapaah has filed any petition before our office, definitely you have it. I will need to check. I have not cited a petition filed by Madam Dapaah to the fact that an investigator was not doing his work after the stealing. I have not. And I don't know whether, but I will check. It's something that is news to me.
Yeah, so, Mr. Counsel, tell him, I will give him further details.
Very wrong. I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, so that would have to be established. But it's quite strange, to say the least, that you said you got knowledge of this case after it was published by the Chronicle in the newspaper?
Exactly the point.
Hey.
Until the Chronicle came out with that report, we were not aware about the pendency of this particular matter in the circuit court. Yes, that's the truth.
So the state attorneys, what's the standard operating procedure in your office?
I don't know what you may want to know, but our office is operated, in terms of the criminal division, is operated by the Director of Public Prosecution and our student lawyers. They have their own ways of doing things. If they have cases, they go through the processes, assign the dockets to lawyers to handle. When they handle the matters, I don't know if there's any for us to even involve the Attorney General himself or any of us, they will get involved. So principally, the DPP who handles everything about the prosecution division in the ministry, subject to supervision of the Attorney General.
One of the other issues in here is the money. Your advice captured the narrative that the $800,000 belongs to her deceased brother, and then the $200,000 you couldn't, or she couldn't state the specific ownership of it. The current charge sheet, which per the law, as your colleague lawyers have indicated, supersedes the details of the previous charge sheets as stated, that the 1 million is stated here as money that belongs to Cecilia Dapaah. How do we reconcile the two?
I don't think there's any confusion here. Now, our review of the docket established that Madam Cecilia Dapaah and her brother gave statements to the effect that the $800,000 belonged to the deceased brother. That's what we saw in the docket. Now, the police went to court last week and amended the charge sheet. Because they received our letter earlier than last week. We don't know whether they make further investigations and perhaps come to the conclusion that that money belongs to her. That's something that they need to inform us. So what happened in court last week, or within the week, is something that the police did without regard to us because they are permitted to do so. So we thank them to do further investigations and then report to our office for us to take up the matter. So let's leave them to work there. That's where they've had new information contradicting the statement on the document submitted to us. That's within their purview, and they have to notify us. In any event, I was also a bit happy when I read the motion filed by the OSP. The OSP also, in the motion that was filed in the court, indicated that their investigation also, the initial investigation also to the fact that Madam Dapaah said the $800,000 belongs to the deceased brother, and then it was confirmed by her own brother. So I do not know how come the police are still saying it is $800,000 belonging to her. Maybe that's the new information that they speak. We task them to do further investigations. So let's wait.
But you also directed them to look into issues of money laundering, right? And in this particular case, because
we directed them to do issues of money laundering to know the source of the 800,000 Ghana cedis, the $800,000, the $200,000, and the 300,000 euros. So we are still waiting for them to give us the feedback on the investigation that they've done with respect to the source of that money, to know whether we can have any charge of money laundering.
Okay, but then you made reference to that narrative of the $800,000 being her deceased brothers, but then you still want to establish the true ownership of it, whether it borders on money laundering.
Yes, in the statement, it was indicated by Madam Dapaah and the brother that 800,000 belonged to the late brother. We insisted, in our opinion, that the police must establish whether indeed that money belonged to the brother or not. We were not taking the statement that she's given us as a gospel proof. I also asked the police to also look at if the money belongs to the brother or whoever, the source of that money must also be established.
Okay. Alfred Chua, thank you. For Lamatic people, so that is what's in, he just called in to make an intervention, but I think that the questions I've asked also brings up other issues. How does the AG's office work? I mean, I asked that question about the standard operating procedure, because if they got to know of this case only when it was published in the Chronicle newspaper, that is the AG and his deputy, that's concerning, to say the least.
Yeah, that's what I raised earlier. So it tells you that because it's a big bureaucracy, big. So sometimes these things can happen. So now it means that it's the senior lieutenants who didn't draw their attention to it. Yeah, because they are quite senior.
But what is the process of briefing the AG? They have to brief the AG of some of these cases.
I can imagine the case load. So that side, perhaps we should be looking at, maybe we can look into it further. I don't have too much information, but so sometimes it can be alarming. Yeah, because
but the special prosecutor now also stepping in. The latest development is that this accounts being frozen and the money's in there as well, and the further monies that were found at her residence. We've seen the monies quoted by the special prosecutor in his release, and the fact that he has also taken steps now to extend the period of the freezing of the account of Cecilia Dapaah. We counted 7 bank accounts held in 2 banks, and the monies that were found at her residence, additional money, $590,000 plus 2,730,000 cedis found at the Abilimkpe residence, and authorized officers of the OSP seized the discovered cash sums on reasonable grounds that they were suspected tainted property in accordance with Section 32(1) of Act 959, and as it was necessary to exercise the power of seizure to prevent concealment of the cash sums. This is what the special prosecutor has done. How does that also change or bring a lot more dynamics to this particular case that we're dealing with, Lawyer Martin Kpebu?
Great. So today that's a substantive question. This is the one that I was waiting for all morning. You know why? Because you remember for how many weeks now I've been drumming it into viewers' ears that, look, the OSP said it had found something significant.
Indeed.
It had found something significant. Something significant.
And we wanted to know how significant
so
it
now
was.
you see, this is a tip of the iceberg. Then on the 17th, they are going to court on the 17th, right? That's when you hear the $5 million and the etc. Yeah, that's it. So at least you see with this one, at least this, they've stated it in the court papers, $590,000. If you convert into Ghana cedis, we are looking at least that's about 6 million, right? 6 million veritable Ghanaian cedis. And then 2.7 million. Can you imagine? That's on the day of the search. So at least, you remember what Professor Entry mentioned earlier, that the OSP has done a remarkable job. That's a yeoman's job. So you see what I've been saying? You see, the OSP is vindicated. But of course, we don't want the OSP to get solely headed. There's still a lot more to be done. So the naysayers, you still have a lot of work to do. Why not? Yeah, keep the vigilance. And then those of us who are support will also support. Then there's a balance so that he can continue doing the job. Yeah, so you see the case, somebody said the case keeps mutating. And so you know what? A lawyer says something, and that's profound. Of course, others have said it. Tunanda is hitting me. Now look, why don't we for now suspend the criminal prosecution and try to investigate, get these suspects to be able to reveal the identities of people who were coming to see Madame Dapaah, or did they see who brought money, who carried bags? That will help. Because you see, this investigation is ongoing. There's a part that, and we've mentioned it and I repeat again, we are not watching. Do you know that, we've said it before, if the people who gave the money don't come out, and it will be a miracle, it will take a miracle, and that's even putting it very nicely, for them to come out and say we are the ones who gave the money. They are not going to come out, most likely. Madame Dapaah is not going to hang herself by revealing those persons. Because under the law, there's a softer version. If you don't get the corruption under the LI 2374 and also Article 286 Clause 4, once you cannot explain the source of the money, there's a lower threshold, there's a lower proceedings, which is that the OSP will start new proceedings for confiscation. That, okay, we found so much money, Madame Dapaah cannot explain, we are taking that money away. And that's always been our law, as I keep saying, even from Kwame Nkrumah's time. Kwame Nkrumah's appointees went through all that. The same lifestyle audit, they appeared before the Giage Commission. So those who couldn't justify their properties, some were prosecuted subsequently, and the properties were confiscated.
Okay.
Fast forward, so it's always been like that. So what I'm saying is that we may end up not getting a corruption prosecution because we are not getting the rest of the evidence that will show that there's a crime. Hey, because two people met privately or alleged or probably met and money exchange hands possibly over contracts. Hey, it will take a miracle for them to come out and say we met and then exchange this money. You see, so what the lawyer is saying, and which makes sense, is that look, perhaps we should suspend this criminal prosecution for now, because in any event, lawyer Dafiamekwa will tell you there is no limitations, so that we try to talk to the accused persons who knew Madame Dapaah and who were close there to get information from them. And depending on that information, how worthy it is, you just suspend this criminal prosecution, because that's how it is done. Sometimes you need to trade, you see, you need to, and that's the plea bargaining and all those things. So we shouldn't be rushing with this criminal prosecution. We should be interested in asking the accused persons. They should tell us who and who would come into the house, who and who did they ever see money, so much, you see, so that, because as I said, it will take a miracle for the people who brought the money to come out to hang themselves. Madame Dapaah is not likely to do that.
It's another interest that you have in there raises bigger questions about, you know, the asset declaration regime and so on. But you see, in other jurisdictions, when this happens, it triggers the establishment of structure systems, the amendment of existing laws, the institution of new laws to ensure that it doesn't happen again. This was someone's dream to make $1 million. Other politicians are living the dream of someone who was dismissed for having the dream. Now that dream it's been actualized by others, because after that, after her dismissal, we failed to put structures in place to ensure that whoever attempts to actualize the dream will be exposed, even if the leader at the time decides not to take the same action of dismissing whoever is involved. What has to be done?
Yeah, so we'll come back to that thing about the new law, the conduct of public code of conduct of public officers. Yes, that law. And I'm happy, Professor Antwi, you are very passionate about it too. So let's have a stakeholders conference. Some people have already agreed. Yeah. That we should have a
But I've told you
and the honorable
members.
Thank you. So honorable.
That's actually our next topic for the next thought leadership.
Thank
we
you.
Should not allow the IMF to come and give us that mandate.
Because we understand
we should do it ourselves.
There's a technical committee meeting. So the technical
very
committee.
Good. Let's push it.
That is why we're a member of parliament.
Because
that individual bill and let's move it forward. Our lifestyle as public officers should be watched.
Thank you.
We should live a decent life. Look at Angela Merkel in Germany.
Thank you.
And the way she led her life. That is public service. And distinguishedly, everybody will talk about it. Posterity will even reward you.
Thank you. Lawyer.
Okay, good. Yes, so the first part of it, the point is that, so we are saying that, look, the current bill that cabinet is looked at, and we are saying throw it into the dustbin. It doesn't have the most biting provisions that we are looking for. It doesn't have, and so we need to rework it. That draft bill for code of conduct for public officers is not strong enough. We need to rework it totally. Yes. Now, thankfully, the IMF has made it a conditionality.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Let's do it quickly. The government itself, as we are preparing to do our stakeholders conference, government should also maybe come and join us. Let's have one broad discussion. So number one, or is it number two, since we've said government should invite us, or come and join our coalition. Number two, so you look at the old law that for the past 4 or so weeks we've been referring to about publication of the assets. This is Public and Political Party Holders, into brackets, Declaration of Assets and Eligibility Act, 1992. You say, published in Government Gazette on 15th May 1992, blah, blah, blah. So this is the law. This is the law. 1992, when Rawlings, okay? Yes, the Constitution came into effect, it's not 1993. Yes, so even Rawlings, as a dictator, could pass this law. So you go to section, and pass it about what? Amongst all the things, what we are interested in, the publication of the assets in the Gazette. So section 2, subsection 1, I'm just interested in that second part. It says assets declared under this section shall be published in the Gazette within 14 days of submission. So you go on, that's it. And before this law, as I said, it had always been there from Kwame Nkrumah's time. We'd always had publication. So nobody is coming to teach us publication in Ghana. For us, it's part of our culture.
Right.
So if some people were able to smuggle it out, we are bringing back publication and verification.
Right.
Then look at the OECD law. The OECD, there's been a paper that they did. I wanted to read. Okay, let me paraphrase. So okay, the OECD, the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, right? They also say that any asset declaration law that doesn't give the opportunity for citizens to be able to scrutinize what has been published is useless.
Okay.
It's useless because it's not effective.
Right.
It is not.
It is not. This is key point. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us. This conversation continues.
Jackpot of the week. Place bets and hit the jackpot. Log into the OneXBet account. Click on the Take Part button, place bet, and take part in the jackpot draw. Give your luck a chance. Use promo code to get a bonus on your first deposit.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years. Gambling can be addictive.
Feel adrift as you transition into a new stage of your life. The future seems like a blank space until you discover the passion within. The canvas of the future is yours to paint. Welcome to a world of opportunities. Heritage Christian College, offering world-class university education, training compassionate entrepreneurial leaders.
Group A, we're done with Group B. This week is the 10 of Group C. Them fancy man girl.
Bradley Warabo. Mali, Sashawe. Me phone But you know, say before kitchen wars. And it's Fast Boys here with you.
Don't miss the battle.
I beg you, the fact that I'm a comedian doesn't mean give me funny taste. I am here for the food, not for anything.
Don't miss the competition. The heat will be on in the kitchen right here on TV3 on Sunday, 5 p.m. My name is Cookie, and this is Kitchen Wars Season 2. Kitchen Wars!
Kitchen Wars Season 2 shows Sundays at 5 p.m. on TV3. Don't miss it.
Sponsored by Gino Tomato Mix.
And Napa Foods. Say Napa. Enye ono soko.
PGL.
Our next guest on today's Woman is Mrs. God's Grace Aqua, owner and the curator of Godi Creative Band. Now, she is into making intentional pieces for the best times of your life that matter.
Now, this is something we can all practice at home. You hold the ribbon this way, wrap it around your index finger on both the left and the right.
Okay, so cross it over each other.
It's like you're tying a knot.
Okay, so cross it over each other like...
Exactly.
Like this?
And then pass it through the hole.
Okay.
Then let it come out.
Yes. But make a date with me here on Saturday, 3 p.m. sharp, right here on TV3. It is Today's Woman with Cookie.
Today's Woman with Cookie T shows Saturdays at 3 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Latex Foam, Vlisco.
My name is Shali, and I'll be joining the Ladies Circle this Saturday evening.
Why do you think Ama Governor deserves to be a lawyer just like anybody else?
To become a lawyer is not just about passing exams. It also comes with a responsibility that you have.
When I was coming here, I have short hair. I dye my hair, color my hair, or, you know. But he said, for you to go on news, you can't take your colored hair on there.
Well, it's the reason why you will never sit on TV or create a YouTube channel and talk about your sex life. Oh, I slept with this person. It was like this.
I just might.
You will not do that, Helen.
Hey, alert.
Presenting.
Time out. What were you doing?
President.
You should have done like this.
No. You don't want to miss this.
The Ladies Circle shows this Saturday at 6 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Yaz Sanitary Pad,
Yumvita,
MTN,
Woodin,
Nivea, for your shade of beautiful.
Let's discover South Africa with 3FM 92.7 and South African Airways from the 21st to the 28th of October 2023. Let's travel to discover the beautiful sights and sounds of Joburg, tour the most enchanting wineries of Cape Town, and attend the biggest wine event in Africa, WineX, amongst many other incredible experiences. Be a part of this exclusive getaway from the 23rd to the 28th of October. Tour package includes visa facilitations, return flights to Accra, round-trip flights to Cape Town and Joburg, hotel accommodation, breakfast and lunch, exclusive tours of the winelands and wine tasting in the Western Cape Province, city tours of Cape Town and Joburg, exclusive access to the Grand WineX events at Sandton Convention Center, guided shopping tours and tourist sites, and B2B networking breakfast sessions. Book your place for the trip of a lifetime. Single occupancy is $2,699. Double occupancy is $2,399. Special rates are available for couples. Please call 0531 100 927 to be a part of the 3FM Getaway. 3FM Getaway is powered by 3FM 92.7 and in partnership with SAA and support.
Direct the Committee of the Chief of Defense Staff to activate the ECOWAS Standby Force with all its elements immediately. Order the deployment of the ECOWAS Standby Force to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. Underscore its continued commitment to the restoration of constitutional order through peaceful means.
So that is the ECOWAS declaring their intentions about Niger. That's our next conversation. And at this point, let me acknowledge the presence of Professor Kwesi Ening, the Director of Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. He's a respected international security analyst. Professor Kwesi Ening, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Key Point.
It's a great pleasure.
Great. Lord Avemeko, I'll give you 2 minutes to round up, and Professor Kwesi Ening would launch us into what's happening in Niger. Very, very, very important. Yes.
First of all, the Attorney General's current explanation about the matter is untenable. Untenable in the sense that Article 88 of the Constitution has 6 provisions. And the provisions are very clear as to how prosecutions in this country and in whose name is conducted. 1, it says there shall be an Attorney General of Ghana who shall be a Minister of State and the principal legal advisor to the government. If you go to clause 4, it says all offences prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana shall be at the suit of the Attorney General or any other person authorized by him in accordance with law. So even if you go to the OSP Act Section 4, the power of the OSP to even launch investigations is the derivative of Article 88 of the Constitution that is inherent in the Attorney General. Right. So the point I'm making is that you cannot say that a docket referred to your office is so deficient in terms of content, such that you offered an opinion, a legal opinion on the matter with a deficient document. That is why we lawyers call it a legal opinion. If you are not seized with the full facts, you don't offer an opinion. You ought to have looked at all the angles and perspectives and the agencies looking into the matter, obtain relevant documents, investigative documents, before you offered an opinion. So the Attorney General says that they are not saying. So look, under the AG, we have assistant state attorneys, we call the ASAs, state attorneys, senior state attorneys, principal state attorneys. Then it bifurcates into two. A chief state attorney under the civil division, then director of public prosecution, DPP, under the criminal division, before it gets to the Attorney General himself.
And the Solicitor General.
Thank you. And the civil. So you cannot say that investigations conducted by your office pursuant to a complaint hasn't come to your attention.
Nelson.
It means they are running the place like a sole proprietorship.
Nelson.
It's unacceptable.
Nelson.
Lawyer. It's unacceptable. He can't.
That's a structure.
Look, and I want to bear with Senior the explanation exposes a lot of deficiencies at the office of that.
That's a fundamental question that
should
is
every
being
case
raised
get to the
here.
AG himself?
Sorry?
Thank you.
Should every case get to the AG
Thank you very
himself?
much.
Why
And
not?
The point well established. Thank you.
The backstops
That
of
is
the
what we call,
run a
that is why we call it
So-
AG's advice.
Thank you very much.
They don't call it
Nelson Ross
deputy
and
AG's
But they run a
advice.
system.
No,
And that's
They
a-
run a
that's
system.
the
point well
system
made.
must function.
Thank you.
As you
They run a
that the
system.
system
Thank
must
you very
function.
much.
That's why it's called AG's
the
advice.
fundamental and very important question that you raised there. Thank you. And that's what we've been seeking answers to all the while.
That's what I'm
And
saying,
the
he
issues
should
of
resign.
governance, it borders on straight
Ah,
to
he
what's
should
happening
resign.
in. Let's
He
go
is
straight to
engaged
what's
in
happening in
unethical
Niger.
lawyering.
Stop that.
Professor Kwesienin is joining us. A
Nelson,
number of things have happened in this
Hey.
Niger situation this week. And Prof. Kwesienin, now there's been a resolve, at least the resolution by the ECOWAS 2 days ago to deploy its standby force to Niger. Afterwards, we've seen Cote d'Ivoire pledging 1,000 troops in support of this standby force. And we've seen another neighbor of ours, Burkina Faso, pledging support for the junta, the military leadership in Niger. How slippery is Ghana's position in all of this, especially considering the different positions that our neighboring countries have taken on this matter?
I don't know what Ghana's position is. I am really not certain because we haven't made any utterances to that extent, except that we were in Abuja where we took part in those meetings. And therein lies, and I want to come back to the word that you use, the slipperiness of the slope or the slide into an intervention. But let me go back a little bit and talk about the standby force idea. The ECOWAS standby force idea is one of the 5 pillars under the African standby force concept headed by the African Union, in which each of the 5 regional economic communities will dedicate particular troops to be trained in readiness to be brought together to attack or to intervene. The different countries were supposed to play different roles. And I think from what was read from ECOWAS, there was an implicit assumption that that is what is going to happen. But if we take the logistics base that is supposed to be in Freetown, there are no logistics. If you take the civilian component, it has almost not worked. I don't know, the last 5 years or something. That's There's always the need for a lead country in harnessing regional efforts in placing the standby force into an operational area. In Gambia, which is a small country, it was very easily done. Senegal surrounds it. They were able to do that very quickly. In Guinea-Bissau, it has not been that successful. But there are also a couple of interpretational difficulties. If one looks at the ECOWAS mechanism under which the standby force concept is located, particularly Article 28.1, it defines the standby force and then very clearly also establishes the processes for the generation of its force. Now, it does not contemplate that the standby force is a regional army ready to be deployed immediately it is called. That's number two is that the standby force concept was meant for a civil war case. Let's say something similar to Liberia, Sierra Leone, at a point in time, La Côte d'Ivoire. So we are using the standby force for an operation for which it has not been established. Part of the idea also was that these different troops coming from all the member states would routinely train together to bring about complementarity and understanding, sort of easing out issues of language, logistics, hierarchy, command and control. So the position that the CDSs have been placed in, and particularly the explanation from the extraordinary summit, is that this force is now being generated and will be deployed as and when the heads of states and government decides. Mm-hmm. The calculus of the force generation, readiness, and deployment may take some time. Now, we know that the initial 1 week, deadline has passed, and that force generation takes time. Every single minute or day that passes strengthens the position of the junta. Finally, if we have a security analyst or a military person, you will know that to invade another territory, the calculus is that for one person fighting for his country, you would need 3 soldiers from the intervention force. So if we take the publicly known figure for the Niger army, that is 7,000. What the standby force would need is something between 18 to 21,000 forces. Finally, over the past decade, because Niger has been known as the frying pan of the Sahel, they have been giving training and logistical support by the Americans, the Czechs, the Turks, and not least the French, with the exception of a few very sensitive pieces of equipment. So this is an army that is fairly well equipped. It's managed to turn the narrative away from constitutionalism to one of national identity. That exploits the emotional ties of particularly the youth to their country. And the narrative is that, look, we have uranium, we have oil, we have other minerals, but the nature of the colonial agreements are such that we don't benefit from it. And therein lies my caution that we should continue to use mediation, negotiation, and contacts to see if we cannot come to some transitional arrangement. An intervention and an invasion is going to be extremely dangerous. I unfortunately have to go. because
Yes.
I had a prayer appointment. So.
Indeed. Well, but there was a very quick question about the 18,000 to 21,000 forces that you say ECOWAS will have to marshal. From your own analysis, is it something that can be done within the shortest possible time, as how quickly and rapidly this Niger situation is evolving?
I don't think this is something that can be marshaled within the next 6 to 9 months.
6 to 9 months?
Yeah.
What would be the possible outcome of this military intervention if ECOWAS so decides to go ahead with it? Because we understand there's a meeting of the security chiefs today.
Well, I mean, what it means is that it's going to basically open a Pandora's box. And it's not just about what will happen in Niger. It is about, as I said, the narrative about new identities and standing up to colonial powers whose critical interest has been to take resources back to the metropole. But not only that, the Niger case also raises fundamental concerns about issues of security force assistance. What kind of security force assistance do you provide to a country like Niger, in which those who provided the assistance, the US, Czech, Turkey, and France, did not understand the underpinning tensions and stresses within both the military and amongst the political hierarchy? That raises concerns as to how we define what our own interests are, the nature of the threat, and by extension, the kind of support that we need from those who call themselves partners.
And 30 seconds, with all due respect, Professor Ening. So we are now reading from the the Associated Press that the junta has threatened to kill President Bazoum, whom they have in their custody, if ECOWAS goes ahead with this military intervention or the deployment of a standby force. How should this threat influence any possible decision by ECOWAS today?
Well, I think it will be central to the conversations. We would not want to lose anybody's life unnecessarily.
Professor Kwesi Ening, I thank you so much for your thoughts. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Professor Kwesi Ening joining us there, Director of Research and Academic Affairs at the Kofi International Peacekeeping Training Center. And Professor Ening, Professor Enchi, beg your pardon, bringing especially because we understand there's a meeting of the security chiefs of ECOWAS later today.
Yes.
And the fluid nature of what's happening in Niger, ECOWAS has earlier given indication of the deployment of a standby force, and then also where Ghana finds itself, because two of our neighbors have taken different paths. Burkina Faso is supporting the junta, that's the coup leaders. Ivory Coast is supporting the ECOWAS standby force. How does that play into whatever decision we have to take on this Niger matter going forward?
Thank you, Alfred. I think that it is sad, to say the least, that we have African leaders who are championing the interests of the French. I say so because as I sit here, there is an ultimatum from Burkina Faso. They denounce the double tax agreement, what they call the Donson Airport concession. The ex-president that was overthrown signed 30-year agreement, double tax for the airport, in the interest of the French government. Most people in Ghana do not understand why Dr. Kwame Nkrumah gave $10 million to Guinea. Do you know that when the French were leaving, because Guinea had attained independence, even chalks, they took them away.
In the rail line.
And the rail line. And then the toilet seats, the sinks, they sealed them with cement. We are talking about a situation where even onion that Niger will get from them, France will have to say that they don't want that. Do you know that after agreement, Africa trading among ourselves is just 18%? In Europe, it is 62%. So they trade more with France because unless France don't want something, that we can trade with them. But the borders we see in Africa, ECOWAS here, were all drawn from Berlin. We shouldn't have been having borders among us. We are brothers and sisters. So if our leaders meet and they're saying that, I listened to the president who was ousted. Yesterday he said that he's being fed on dry rice. At least they are feeding him something. Do you know what the people of Niger eat? Sometimes I sit and ask myself, because I'm a leadership expert, when I sit and I see what the outside world talk about African leaders, and because this is our world, we don't see what is going on here because we think this is okay. It is not okay. Everything in the Francophone countries, you know, out of ECOWAS 15, 8 are Francophones. And out of these 8, we have 3 surrounding us. Burkina Faso, we have Cote d'Ivoire, and then we have Togo. If there is an escalation of this attempt, and it spills over, we don't even have the capacity to host refugees anywhere. All the African ECOWAS countries are just crawling on their knees. When you are coming to my university, where I'm a dean, Academic City University, and you are walking through, there's an ECOWAS road. If you know that road, look at the nature of the road.
It's bad.
We asked, how can we face this ECOWAS road from Elubo to Nigeria? They said we need $16 billion to fix that. Are we going to use that money for war? When all our roads, even in Accra, access roads are terrible and you can have access to anywhere, and people don't want people to complain? So what I'm trying to say is that we're not ready for the military force that Professor Eni talked about. Yes, if you add the military, they have 5,000, military. If you add the police to it, according to other statistics that I've seen from the Associated Press, it's about 7,500. So we need at least 22,000 ECOWAS forces to counter that. That is, multiply that by 3. We don't have that. And why do we have to fight our own brothers in the interest of the French? I don't see that we should do that. So nobody, no leader of any West African country should think about, look at even the ECO. I belong to an association of economics professors that try to work on the ECO. We've been going for conferences anywhere. Professor Sai is in Senegal.
Single currency
is not working.
ECOWAS region.
Everything that, look at the ECOWAS parliament, is it working? No. So we've not been able to do much about ourselves, but these youthful military people are tired of the way the French are treating them. If we are supplying uranium from Niger to France, that powers their electricity, and half of that country sits in darkness. Do we like ourselves that way? So, you see, when I'm passionate for the poor. Indeed. For me, I've been a Christian all my life, but God has never spoken to me from the pulpit. He speaks to me from the pews. Life of people touches my heart. And when I go to the ground and I talk to people and I see what they are going through, African countries, we are suffering. But with the plethora of resources in the bellies of our land, that shouldn't be the case. We cannot give our resources to France. Even their reserves are sitting in France, and the people are poor. All the resources are going to France. If you go to Congo now, do you know what happened? The government, all they have to do is to reduce the price of alcohol, and the people are happy. But Congo, look at Congo called themselves the breadbasket of all natural resources. The cell phones, the laptops, all these raw materials are coming from Congo, but go and see poverty. What are we doing to ourselves? And all rests on leadership. The leaders, so to say that we are going on war, we are threatening them, they are keeping the leader, the Usted president. Nobody has touched him. We like it that way. He will be released if they allow him. I like what they did. The military just put 21 ministers together. That we are going to have these 21 ministers, and then they are going to rule the country. Out of the 21, only 4 are military officers. So they are thinking about the civilians. I know that the military belongs to the barracks. That should be established. They are not supposed to take away a democratically elected government. But if you look at bad leadership in Africa, that is why the youth are acting. If you sign a 30-year contract that people should be double taxed at your airport in Burkina Faso, of course, that is why Burkina Faso is going to support Niger, because they are tired of the French. If you have colonial masters who are 1 foot in Africa and 1 foot in France, and everything that happens in Africa, they have to take decision. That is not independence. And I've met the Dalai Lama, who is the leader of Tibet. And it is not pleasant to see that you don't have independence. So all these African countries, the Francophone countries that are in ECOWAS, they still don't own themselves, because everything that they do, they need to consult France, and it's not helping them.
Well, you say President Akufo-Addo took part in the meeting.
Yes.
That crucial meeting in Abuja 2 days ago. What should Ghana's position be on this, based on your own analysis, in a minute?
I think the president should consult Ghanaians about this. Parliament first, because parliaments are the voices of the people. The president should consult parliamentarians and then send this issue to Parliament that what do we do? The president should not take unilateral action on this, because talking to people on the ground, no Ghanaian will support that their son or their daughter or their cousin should go to war in Niger. You know, we're talking about, I started by saying that Tanibu, Taribo in Nigeria, he's 70 years. Alassane Ouattara is 81 years. We have a lot of leaders, just like America, who are closer to the exit door than the entry door. And I'm talking about in age-wise. And the youth don't want any spilling of blood. We don't want refugees. We know what happened at Bujumbura to Liberia. Up till now, Liberian executives are coming here, and even in academia, we are helping to ramp up the education system. War has devastating effect. So that should be out. We should dialogue. And I know that dialogue solves every position, no problem. So the president should not even dare think about Ghana also supplying some, troops to go to Niger. We should dialogue with them so that they can release the president who is in captive now. We can talk about how there will be a transition so that the people will get what they want. Because it is those who wear their shoes that knows how tough it is in their shoes. And I think Nigerians and then Burkina Faso people and Guinea, they have suffered enough from the hands of these French people, and it's time for them to liberate themselves.
Actually, our international desk here has been doing some research into what's happening, and Honorable Seni, I'll come to you on this, but I need to establish this, that we, based on the research by the international desk and then also the team here on Key Point, Ato Kwamena and his team put together this. Look at that. The 6 African countries currently under military rule. Burkina Faso, since January 2022. And it's significant because all these countries, Ghana relies on them for one thing or the other.
Yes.
We import over $400 million worth of tomatoes from Burkina Faso on a yearly basis. Look at Chad, since April 2021. And then Guinea, since September 2021. Mali, since August 2020. Niger, as we have had it, and Sudan. And all these countries, we have refugees from these countries in this country, Ghana. We have, apart from Sudan, all these countries are Francophone countries. So it comes back to the point, Professor Entry, you were making. And look at their positioning on the African map.
The Sahel, in the middle.
In the middle.
So if you look at the number, Burkina Faso alone is 22, almost 22 million people.
Absolutely.
So Alfred, if you look at this number, we have over 100 million of these countries, the population, that are into military hands.
You see their position there in that linear form. And let's establish the fact that these countries are resource rich. That also is a very major part of
yes.
That's what we call the Sahelian region.
Yes, and all the resources go to France. Every resource they have go to France. How do you live as an individual when you are so impoverished? And then every resource that you have, they impose leaders on you so that the leaders will toe to the line of France. Are you elected to work for the interests of your people or for the interests of the others? I have been to many conferences that they will tell me that, you are not black, you're white. And I tell them that, no, I am black from birth. Because when Obama was president, they had this saying, I nearly stood for governor, in Ohio. And people who know me, I don't talk about myself. But what I can tell you that in Obama's time, they talked about whites, honorary whites, and a bunch of black entities.
But you've contested elections in Ghana before?
Yes, I have.
Really?
Yes, I have.
As what?
I contested as a member of parliament. On the ticket of NDC. Just this last election.
You mean 2020?
Yes. This 2020. And I will tell you a lot about myself. I denounce my citizenship that people don't know. So when people are talking about Asin Central and everything, come to me and I'll tell you how these things all work. I have plethora of knowledge that I'll share with Ghanaians. Alfred, what is happening is that we have had bad leadership in Africa. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
And they have always championed the interests of the West. It is shameful for us to go to IMF every 4 years just to beg for 3 billion Ghana cedis. When we are spending those 6 billion Ghana cedis just from what happened at the Bank of Ghana, $6 billion. That is 60 million Ghana cedis, $6 billion.
Yeah.
It's what, and if you look at the more practices in what the Auditor General is coming out with, we're talking about almost 3 billion that we lose through more practices every year. So the money that we are borrowing, we can have them here. Magufuli did that. He never went for loan. He raised internally money to build a new dam in Tanzania. So there are a lot of things we can do for
something definitely must change. Thank you. I'll round up with you on that particular point. But Honorable Seni, there was another map that Ato Kwamena put on the screen there. That's these countries where the military bases are located in Africa. Look at that. The foreign military base in Africa, most of the countries that have these instability situations have the foreign military bases located in there. The yellow colored countries are the countries without the foreign military base. So you see, Ghana is also colored red, are the countries with a foreign military base, because we know there's a U.S. military base here in Ghana. Cote d'Ivoire, you have France military base there. In some countries, you have as many as 4 foreign military bases in there, and you know, so this is concerning, is it not?
Yes. Yeah, Alfred. This trend of instability, particularly in the last 2 years within the Sahelian region, is something we should all worry about. You can try to rationalize it anyhow you want, but empirically, I don't think that the soldiers have done much better than the governments or the presidents that they replace. Last time I was in Burkina Faso was in 2019. And at the time, the central government had control over just a little bit beyond the capital.
Mm-hmm.
The rate of instability in that region has been raging for a while. And I think the root causes is what we should actually find out for. We could blame leadership. And I think that we shouldn't wait for some of these things to happen. I mean, especially with regard to ECOWAS as a regional body. We should try to intervene when there are, and intelligence gathering and all of that should be apt. We shouldn't wait until we get to a point like this, and then in fact, for me, the direction that ECOWAS intends to go is quite confusing. Because for me, I can glean 2 sort of separate positions from ECOWAS. The first one being whether they want the junta to leave office and hand over to the ex-president. That's the first position.
Right.
The second position is also whether ECOWAS is moving in to restore democratic governance. So there are 2 different things for me. For me, that's what I glean. And within that context, both will have a separate mode and way to tackle the issue as to whether ECOWAS is moving in there to establish democratic governance, or is going there to force the junta to hand over to the president that they removed. In all of this, it's all about leadership.
It's all about leadership.
It's all about leadership. And I'm thinking that the regional body will also need the support of the AU. I've not really heard about the AU, and I've not heard about the UN, but these are why these bodies were in place to ensure that there's peace and people's human rights are guaranteed and all of that. So I think that it's quite a murky situation. I understand Ghana is a leader within the sub-region. I understand that our president has been very active in these meetings. The government has not come out yet with a position, unlike a country like Ivory Coast. We've heard that they've already committed troops.
Yes.
I know, and I'm sure that the president wants to consider all sort of options before they come out with a definite way or how Ghana is going to tackle this situation in Niger. And so I think that in the next couple of days, we should be up and doing as to what the government of Ghana intends to do. Nigeria, for me, is shown leadership that we actually need. I think Tinubu has been firm about this as to whether the action he intends to take or the direction in which he intends to take the sub-region is the right direction. It's another thing. But for me, ECOWAS will have to be definite. What does ECOWAS want to do? However, or whatever ECOWAS intends to do in this year will feed into how this will have to be approached. But historically, like Professor Inen said, the standby force by ECOWAS was probably not intended to intervene in countries like this, given civil situations like we've experienced elsewhere. I mean, we for some of us, we were quite young, but we saw what happened in ECOMOG situation, the situation in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and all of that. ECOWAS went in swiftly. It dragged on. It took a lot of resources. Countries actually suffered for the pressure or the resources they had to commit to the ECOWAS force. But ultimately, we were able to achieve whatever we went to Liberia or Sierra Leone to do. And that for me is, so I think the sub-region will have to be consistent. We'll have to seek support, especially from the AU. I want to hear and see the AU actively in there, because we can only leave the situation to the sub-region when the sub-region is also an integral part of the AU. So let's give ourselves opportunity. I've heard the minority speak on it, how they're going to block whatever commitments the president might make in committing troops. I think they're putting the cart before the horse. Okay. We should be patient. Let's allow the government to look into all possibilities and take a stance, and then we can feed into however we want to participate in whatever happens in the Niger.
Okay, thank you. But to talk about the AU's involvement, what I do know this week is that there was a delegation made up of the AU, the United Nations, and ECOWAS, which sought audience with the military leadership in Niger. The military leadership declined that meeting because they said that ECOWAS had already given indications of a possible military intervention. So they had breached the principle of trust.
Yes.
And so they wouldn't grant that audience. But you say that whatever decision Ghana takes has to be subject to parliamentary approval?
That's what I said. That is so. That is so. It has to come to parliament, because you see, to commit our army to go fight in Niger will come with very huge resource, which will be contingent on the public purse. So it has to come for parliamentary approval.
Do you have anything in the public purse?
Well, the public purse is the public purse. Even this morning, people are paying taxes.
Oh, okay.
So
there's something in there.
Now, I do not support the call by ECOWAS to deploy to Niger. You see, as a people in West Africa, we are fighting we are fighting for food security. We are actually plagued by food insecurity. In 2022, the World Bank has to give ECOWAS $350 million to improve our food security situation. $350 million. This year, just in May or April, Parliament have had to approve some loans for government, including $150 million to fight food insecurity or fight against food insecurity. We are borrowing to look for food to store for our people. We are hungry, and yet we want to go to war. A hungry army cannot win a war. We are people thriving on an empty stomach. I am not concocting this. These are the facts. That as a nation we are actually borrowing to show up food for our people. And we are talking about going to war. Look, if you look at the Sahelian countries, beginning from Senegal, Mali, Burkina.
Yeah, the map that we show.
Burkina, Niger, Chad, all the way to Sudan. Burkina sits in the middle.
Yeah.
And Burkina is in support of the insurrection in Niger. So is Mali. Algeria has just declared that they will provide electricity to Niger for free. So if Nigeria cuts their source of power to Niger, Algeria from up north says they will supply downwards for free. They will
They feel the pain of Niger.
Thank you.
They feel it.
So within a week, hold on. I was quiet. Within a week, they are marshalling support. So ECOWAS should rethink this up. Look, ECOWAS has become made up of, some old men who themselves are not clean. A lot of the elections that put these people in office were conducted under very controversial circumstances. You are seeking, look, it's become a rendezvous of old men who are seeking to discipline combat-ready young men who are in uniform. They won't succeed. So the grandstanding approach to handling this matter should be discarded, and they should use tact and diplomacy and get and get the deposed president out and ensure that some roadmap will be agreed upon, and like they did in Burkina, so that elections can be held in the foreseeable future. This grandstanding want to deploy army. You Tinubu, you don't have your cabinet in place. You want to deploy army. No wonder said they shut him down. So it won't happen. You don't even have them. Look, now soldiers in a lot of countries like Ghana, they are not ready to go to some of these places and die very unreasonable death. They won't. Today themselves will not be ready. Look, what is the status of ECOMOG? We should be evaluating the work ECOMOG has done. ECOMOG has not succeeded in preventing coups. So when they happen, the crisis happens, they even move in. What has been the evaluation?
Okay.
We should think of how to ensure that there's sanity in Niger, so that the ordinary person walking the streets of Niamey will get food in the village. Niger is so vast, and the population is so sparse. From one city, one town or village to another, you can drive for 100 kilometers before you get to the next village. So when you have a country like that, whose population is sparsely located, it's important that we bring in emergency reliefs program for the people because of the crisis in the capital and in the country. So I would rather urge that we adopt a diplomatic approach to resolving the Niger crisis.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Nelson Roxanne Dafiamepo. So we will see whatever decision that is taken, and you are asking that whatever decision is taken actually comes before Parliament for approval.
Yes.
Now, let's go to the next and final issue relating to the Bank of Ghana, because today we know that the security chiefs of ECOWAS are meeting, so whatever happens, we get to know. This week, you, the minority, asked that the governor resigns because of the over 60
and the
billion
board.
And the board.
And the entire board.
The entire board. Now, you've extended it to the entire board of Bank of
yes.
Ghana. They should go because of the over 60 billion cedis loss that it posted on its books as at the end of 2022, as published. Take a look.
As we speak, the central bank has a negative equity of 55 billion Ghana cedis. Negative equity. Now, it means that they don't have any surplus, any money there. He's building a head office at a cost of $250 million. This simple means that he's printed additional money to finance the construction of the new head office. So this guy will not stop. And Prime said that it's the fastest growing building in Accra, project in Accra, in Ghana. So he could tell you that since he's the printer, he's only printing by the day. We are urging you all, colleagues, fellow Ghanaians, our brothers and sisters from the media, but join us in this call. It is for us to secure our country. We have to get this man out. Let us get a new governor, and let that governor come in and learn that the predecessor was pushed out for ABCD, so he will not go there. If we are not careful, and we are to allow this governor to stay in the office, what will happen is that we will set bad precedent for future managers to do same and to destroy our livelihood. He has depleted Ghana's reserve to about 1 week of import cover. The finance minister informed us that even with the IMF money, additional drawdown from the IMF, by the end of the year, Ghana's net international reserve will be about 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Is this the government want to keep in office? He has messed us up so much that we cannot wait to see his back. 21 days time to say bye-bye to the government.
Okay, so that's Dr. Kesela Tofosin, the minority leader there. Honorable Fuseni, so the justification by the Bank of Ghana for this, this new head office, even at this time, what we're going through is that the old building cannot stand earthquakes and earth tremors. I mean, the concern here is an issue of the pressing needs we're faced with, the priorities as we speak, can that be justified in any way, shape, or form because of the current exigencies of the time?
Alfred, I don't know whether you're limiting this whole thing to
no,
the
we'll
office
graduate
building.
to the no, just
yeah, but I am aware that the central bank or the Bank of Ghana has been making attempts since 1990 to relocate from its current location, and I have a plethora and a lineup of attempts, places the bank has gotten, attempts to put up new buildings and all of that. And this earthquake thing is, I don't know where that one is also coming from, but
well, it's in their statement.
Hitherto, yes, I mean, it is one of the, but hitherto, the Bank of Ghana was very isolated, even on the high street. Now, one of the arguments also is that the central business district is caught up with the central bank. And I don't know how that threatens the security of the place. I'm not an expert. I recollect some time ago, its facility on the Smithers Road was probably the only one up till about the early 2000s. Now, look at it, it's rather in the midst of a very fast-growing economic area. I don't know how, but I am aware that since 1990, the bank has been trying to relocate from its current place. It wasn't until 2020 that the current location was gotten through an executive instrument. Until 2020. I can tell you in 1990, they tried at one point. In 2012, there was another attempt by some company. In fact,
okay.
the hackle over location with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and all of that. So I don't really think that...
I think there's issues about the timing. So much about whether or not they really have to do this.
So the timing, yes. That's why I'm telling you that over the last 30 years, the bank has been trying, making attempts, various attempts, and sometimes even at a cost to the state of trying to relocate. And I really can't see how, yes, times are tough. This project is supposed to be what, $250 million?
$250 million.
Yeah,
that's
I don't know the contractual implications. I'm not too sure. I've not seen the contract that who is building and what the effect could be if the project could be stalled. I don't know what payment has happened in the last couple of years. It's all quite kind of very, very, very swift. So for us to say that because of the times, this project should be stalled, I think that we really have to look at its implications. Would it also go into some other cost to the state if it's truncated? It's all things that
another issue is the writing of the 48 billion cedis debt owed by the government of Ghana to the Bank of Ghana. The issue raised is whether the Bank of Ghana can do this without parliamentary approval. That actually can be done by the central bank without notification or approval by Parliament.
You see, Alfred, the central bank is not a typical commercial bank, EcoBank or Standard Chartered or the likes. It is the central bank's, the government's bank, is a lender of last resort. The bank was set up by an Act of Parliament, Act 612 as amended, right? It has specific rules that the central bank plays, amongst other things, right? Amongst other things is to do all other things that are incidental or coincidental to the efficient performance of its functions under the Act and any other enactment. The central bank is supposed to maintain stability in general price levels, support general economic policy, promote economic growth, effective and efficient operation of a banking and credit system, and then and also independent of institutions for the government or any other authority. Those were the objects of the central bank.
Okay.
So it is not a case of always taking up the profitability or otherwise, or looking at transactions in commercial sense. It is there to support this economy.
I asked a specific question,
this,
whether they can actually take such a decision of writing off the debt without recourse to Parliament.
What the central bank is saying is that the minister came to Parliament. The minister sought the consent of Parliament to undertake a program which is a debt exchange program.
Okay.
And as part of it, the central bank, being the government of the bank of the economy, it was part of the process. So the presumption is that once Parliament gave go ahead to the debt exchange program, it certainly will affect whoever are holding whatever securities, whether marketable or non-marketable. And that is the extent to which the DDEP affected the performance of the central bank.
Your statement is qualified, the presumption.
Yeah.
It does not in any way justify the Bank of Ghana's breach
but you see,
of Section 53.
When Parliament...
That does it. The presumption
when
doesn't justify the breach.
When Parliament passes the budget, being it the policies underlining the fiscal policy of the government, or passes the appropriation, anything that actually affects the appropriation, anything that affects the policies that have been approved by Parliament, is presumed to have been passed.
So, is this position by the Bank of Ghana, because this one that Honorable Fuseni is making reference to is captured in the Bank of Ghana's response to some of the issues you raised, that the finance minister in the 2023 budget statement to you, Parliament, mentioned that there was going to be a DDEP. And so does that justify the bank's breach of Section 53 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, which specifically states what the Bank of Ghana should do in an instance like this?
It does not. And I'm shocked that Fuseni, my brother, who's a finance person, who is me on the finance committee, who agree with this explanation from the Bank of Ghana. Bank of Ghana is simply running away from the crimes that they've committed against us as a people. Look, last year, auditors audited accounts of Bank of Ghana. Did you hear?
Yes. I've read all the reports.
Did you? What did they find last year? The auditors report. What did they find?
A debt.
No, they made profit. I think the year of 2021. They made
2021, they made a profit.
Nobody cried. Nobody shouted. The Bank of Ghana made profit.
You see.
Hold on. Fuseni, I was quiet.
I'm just providing you. I'm just providing you.
I was quiet.
There's not much time.
I was quiet. The Bank of Ghana, when they are audited, they made profit. They haven't commended.
The bank is not set up for profit.
So can I make a point? So why declare profit if we are not set up to make profit?
If it happens to be that it's pursuing its objects and make profit.
So
very good.
So exactly.
Very good.
Were you set up to make losses?
They were not set up, but they were set up.
I am saying, were you set up? Is the Bank of Ghana? Is the Bank of Ghana set up to make losses?
No.
Exactly.
No.
So when you are audited, when you are audited annually, Doc, Prof, and you make profit, we hail you. Yes. We encourage you to do more.
And you make losses, we talk about it.
Thank you. So the essence of this discussion is about the performance of the bank in 2022.
It could be.
Fuseni, don't heckle me. It is the performance of the bank in the year 2022 that has become the subject of this topical matter. How do you, over the past 5, 6, 7 years, how do you decline from a profit-making entity to such a colossal debt-incurring entity in a matter of 12 months? That is what has shocked the conscience of the nation. And what are the figures? We have figures such as 60 billion loss in one calendar year.
Financial year.
Of one financial year. You have a negative net equity of in excess of 55 billion Ghana cedis. People are worried. You have a banking supervision bill in excess of 381 million. You have a travel bill of 97 million. You have a computer repair bill of in excess of millions. You are saying that within that time frame, for instance, your fees for your board of directors, you doubled it to 8.6 million a year. This is what people are questioning. You are further saying that your maintenance of vehicles is in excess of 135 131 million Ghana cedis.
And 95% of that was on fuel.
Please.
Okay, while you round up for me.
Let me do this.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
And in all this, you're also commencing the construction of a head office at the colossal amount of nearly 3 billion Ghana cedis. Dollar equivalent of $250 million.
It does say.
All right?
Yes.
So we are asking questions. And this is the year that you participated in the DD for the government. You championed it. You asked people to tighten their belt. Investment that people did. Fuseni, let me finish.
Oh, no, just provide information.
People's investment. You encourage the government to say that don't pay them when it is due. Extend it.
This building started in 2020 when there was no intention of DD.
But as a bank with a conscience, you could have stopped it.
Do you know, I hear this project is also for Ajay. I hear this project is also for Ajay. Is that correct? And the director should go.
Yes. I thought for their performance.
For their performance. Let me conclude by saying that there is no earthquake report. There's no seismic report about the zone that the Bank of Ghana occupies that is an earthquake zone. The Supreme Court is sitting in that zone. The head office, which is as tall as the Bank of Ghana head office of the Ghana Commercial Bank, is sitting there. We have other state institutions. Barclays Bank is not far. That's APSA. It's not far from there. So what is this talk about the zone
for 60 years?
No, that building is actually a colonial building. We inherited it. That building is actually a colonial building. We inherited it.
Let me make my point. Joe Biden will
the Royal Bank of England is still occupying the 100-year.
I think he gave me the floor now.
They have a lot of annexes.
He gave me the floor now, please.
Thank you.
Please.
Joe Biden will say that it's a bunch of malarkey. It's pure nonsense.
Yeah.
Let me put it in a blunt way. Yesterday I saw a post from Professor Jampo. What do they take us for? You make the loss of 60 billion Ghana cedis, which is $6 billion, and out of that, the 53.1 billion are losses from the domestic debt restructuring from the government. And you are saying you need another money to go build a new office? Our elders said that when you owe, you don't eat sardine. Is that not what they said?
Thank you.
So if you are giving us a debt and you want to go, I will use that money. We've got our priorities wrong. We have children going to school carrying their own furniture. We have children going to school walking that this and that. They don't even have their own furniture. They don't even have school supplies. Sitting on the floor. And you want a new office when you are giving us a debt of this amount? Let's be serious in this country. I'm tired of this.
Professor Enoch Opoku Enchi, I guess that there are many who would also side with this particular sentiment of what has to be done going forward. Thank you very much for your time joining us here. The governance and leadership expert, Nelson Ross. So that's the position and the resolve of the minority, that you want the leadership of the Bank of Ghana, including the governor, to go. That's what you've resolved.
That is so.
Okay.
The entire board.
The entire board.
The entire board should go.
Okay. He is the Member of Parliament for the South Dai constituency.
Make reform.
Fuseni Issa is former MP, Okankwe North constituency. Martin Pebo, private legal practitioner, had to leave us for other engagements. And also we're joined by Professor Kwesienin. He is a Director of Research and Academic Affairs at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. I want to say thank you to you as well, our viewers, for joining us here on Key Point. And then also I acknowledge the receipt of this petition to the Ghana Revenue Authority to audit the tax audit of Cicely Adapa, as was sent by Mr. Mike Kofi Aflu, who is the former head of the tax. That's so she just, we had to just put it out. I see. So I just had to put it out there, receipt of this particular petition. So this is something that we take keen interest in as well. On behalf of the team, thank you so much for staying with us. I am Alfred Kansei. Have a great weekend.